Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday the 7th of May 2017. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
I just ate a hobnob.
And Robert Kemp.
What size was it?
Larger than bite size.
Okay.
It's a good reference that no one will know.
No, in jokes.
It's just putting a biscuit in your mouth, but a specific size of biscuit. Not hobnob sized.
I mean,
I think those hobnobs probably could be bite sized if you wanted to.
That's the thing.
I would want to waste an entire hobnob in a singular mouthful.
Are you wasting it, do you think, if you do that? Yeah, you do have to save them.
Yeah, hobnobs are worth savouring. They're a quality biscuit.
They're definitely more dense than your average, like digestive.
Are they even a biscuit? I don't know.
What, you reckon they're a cake?
No.
Is this the biscuit versus cake?
No, I don't think they're either. I think they're just like...
Flapjacks. But flapjacks are a sort of cake, right?
They're like oaty,
aren't they? No, it's like the hobnob is like a
cereal.
Like oat cake. I guess that's a kind of cake. If you call that a cake.
I suppose.
Is that a cake?
I don't think
it's got the worst cake in the name.
Are flapjacks cakes, or are they just some kind of sweet treat?
Well, according to the ingredients box of the hobnobs, they are oaty biscuits. So.
Well, they're self-proclaimed as an oaty biscuit. What does a Jaffa cake proclaim itself as? Does it proclaim itself to be a cake?
As a cake, it's right there in the name.
But when you actually go and look at the...
the title bar of the ingredients box is where you have to go to find out what things really are.
Oh, really?
That's where they have to say...
Is there always a title thing on ingredients, or does it just start listing things?
No,
not always.
Not always, but I think like most of the time... Because you'll look at... That will be where you'll find the actual descriptive... the actual description of what's in chocolate or where it's like if you've got mint chocolate, it's like it would say like milk chocolate with mint pieces and then some number of percent of mint pieces or whatever. That's where you find out the specifics.
I've just picked up a box of peppermint creams. Oh, hold on. So it says peppermint creams on the front, and it also says subtitle is dark chocolates with a peppermint flavored fondant center. But then additional title at top of the ingredients, right, which is the one we're talking about. Dark chocolates with a peppermint flavored fondant center, 69%.
Yep, there you go.
So they've mirrored that.
Does it say fondant twice in its description there, or did you just misread that?
Peppermint flavored fondant center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like dark chocolate fondant with peppermint fondant covered in extra fondant.
What even is fondant? I know what it is because I just ate a bunch of it. But
it's just like mush. It's just a fancy name for mush.
Isn't it like a sort of marshmallow-y sort of?
It's not marshmallows.
No, but it's that sort of consistency.
Sugary mush.
Yeah,
sugary mush. Yeah.
Not really a cream. Not really a. What's a solid cream? Like a more solid.
It's
cream?
Pretty solid in this stuff. In these peppermint creams.
So it doesn't it's not possible to use a fondant.
Well, they might be old. The fondant dries out, doesn't it? Or if you've had
They're not
older
old.
things, they get kind of firm.
Which part of a fondant fancy is the fondant? Is it the little nipple?
Sugary mush.
Sugary mush. That is quite mushy though. In a fondant fancy, isn't it? It's not hard like in the peppermint cream there.
No, I thought it was a little bit like the stuff they put in a tea cake. What's that? Is that fondant?
No, that's like marshmallow.
That's marshmallow.
It says marshmallow specifically on the ingredients if you're making a tea cake.
Okay, so
marshmallow cream or whatever.
Apparently, I really can't tell the difference. So I don't understand.
How can you not tell the difference between marshmallow cream and fondant? It's like two totally different things.
I don't, at this point, I probably could.
And a marshmallow also a completely different thing as well. Marshmallow and marshmallow cream, not even really that close.
I probably would agree with you if they're right in front of me, and I was tasting them. But right now, in my memory, they both appear in the same category. That's sugary mush.
What else has got?
What's the difference between fondant and nougat? Now you're getting into trouble.
I really don't know.
They're basically they're both just sugary mush.
I don't even really know what nougat is or tastes like.
Because nougat always the word nougat puts me off things, but then I think Mars bar is like nougat, isn't it? Nougat, isn't it?
Is it?
Maybe
the stuff in there, and I like Mars bars.
Oh my god, Windows 10 is trying to interrupt this podcast.
What?
I heard a click and then your screens went dark. Windows 10 trying to update. like a bitch.
Your new Windows features are almost here. Let's review your privacy settings.
Your new Windows features are here. You're allowed to not tell us about them.
Don't Microsoft understand that computers are used to do work and like things that need?
Well, yes, that's why Paint 3D is in the update.
Oh, brilliant!
Vital, useful technology.
Can I use that with my HoloLens or something? What's that for?
Well, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because it's not really like a full 3D package of some kind, but it does make you sort of be able to manipulate things roughly in 3D space, and it'll 3DFI some images so you can muck around with them a bit. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Wow, Paint's come a long way. Except it really hasn't, mostly.
No. I watched a video of speedruns getting fucked up by technical difficulties. And like 50% of them were Windows 10 doing an update and restarting the computer.
Really?
Yep. And then the other half were like, your dog jumped on your keyboard and killed your emulator.
So I did just click the remind me later button, just because that was the
hopefully that will be more than 2 hours later.
Yeah. I'm not holding my breath. I haven't installed Creators Update on the various the current OS install that runs the podcast recording suite.
I specifically installed a thing in Windows 7 to prevent Windows 10 update pop-ups and all the when it was trying to make
you put like the anti-GWX or something.
I was like, get that in there so I don't even have to worry about accidentally doing it.
Yeah, because that stupid thing where clicking the cross, like the red X was actually a sign of agreeing at one point.
Dark patterns, man.
Yeah.
Dark ass patterns.
Shady business.
Yeah, get that Windows shit out of here. Except not. Get no more Windows shit than you want in here.
There were
some
rumours that adverts were going to start turning up in various parts of File Explorer somehow.
Well, there are adverts for OneDrive if you don't turn them off.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an advert, no matter how you slice it.
The adverts, it would make more sense in like the tile view because that's basically like the Xbox dash. And there's always space for adverts in squares. Just shove something in there that's not one of the things that you're actually using.
Sure.
What you mean, like in the start menu thing? I guess I don't use the giant start menu thing.
No, you use the.
I assume that's still there. I haven't checked.
The smart tiles in the start menu are still there.
Yeah.
But apparently in the creators, I don't think it's in the creators update. Actually, I think it's in the. It might be in Redstone 3 that's coming later in the year, supposedly. That will be they're putting, get this, folders back to the start menu.
What?
It's just a list of apps right now, isn't it?
Well, I mean, not only that, they recently, or I don't know how recently, but they seem to have got rid of the words next to the icons, so all you have is icons for things like documents and...
Wait, what? Where?
Well, on my one, I don't know how you expand it. Oh, I can expand it by clicking a hamburger at the top of my top left of my start menu pane, but by default, it just has the icons. And of course they're monochrome icons, which is amazing for
what you mean the stuff on the left hand, the far left, like your power symbol and your
yeah. So things like
but that's the stuff you rarely need. Like,
well, I use that. I use documents and music. Well, I used to anyway. I used to use these buttons, but now it's like I can't.
But aren't they really clear icons for music being musical?
Well, I don't know. They used to be. I mean, obviously it's obviously it looks nicer when you're kind of looking at it, but like the colors in icons do help you like pick things out. I find it quite hard to tell the difference sometimes between monochrome icons at a glance, which is the whole point of icons, is to identify something at a glance. I'm like, which square is it? Is it the square that's meant to be like a picture of some hills or something, but monochrome, or is it the square that's like got a little tab, so it's meant to be a file or a piece of paper with one of the corners folded down? I guess cog is fine and power is fine. The File Explorer one's really weird.
The first my one only has 3 listed anyway. I only have.
I've got a whole bunch of things over here.
Yeah, I've got settings and whatchamacallit. Because to be honest, for all that stuff, if I want to get to it, I Windows E, and then
Yeah,
browse
you
to
just
it.
search. Yeah. I've got
Although with that
documents.
Windows E, you just pull up a file explorer, and then I know where to go.
When my old Windows 7, you just have the big file-looking thing on the taskbar, and you hit that, it opens the whole files and documents window, and then you get the music and videos from there.
Oh yeah,
Because it's
that too.
higher level.
Yeah.
It's not like my documents.
The quick access, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing
man.
that I find annoying about that is how I have to have, in order to, I wanted that icon to go to my computer instead of that, so I have to have my computer pinned in it in the right-click pop-up.
Oh right. You actually use the what do they call them? The jump lists.
Yeah. Only for really that and like a couple of other files that I go to a lot. But I just wanted my computer. I don't want any like File Explorer version of that. I want straight old my computer with the hard disk icons.
Just show me the drives, yeah.
And click on those things.
Because I've got so many drives, and like the network drives and things like that.
Yeah.
That's a really good place for me. Because it's like I want to get to my music. It's like, I need the M drive, which is my network music drive.
So what have they renamed it to now? My computer is now this PC.
It's still my computer, or it might just be. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Sorry,
This
you're right.
PC.
Yeah, it's this PC. Yeah.
Genius.
Which might not even be true if you're on your network drives. That's not technically that PC.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, but they are mapped. But that didn't make sense in my computer either.
Well, no.
It should be like drive root or something. But then that makes no sense to like casual.
Normal people.
Yeah,
Well, but I guess the casual people don't have network drives.
no. I guess that's becoming increasingly common with like those MyDrive devices you just attach to your Ethernet.
Or like cloud storage if you've got it a literal network map.
Oh, but then that's OneDrive, right? OneDrive
I
just
guess.
appears as a document folder.
Yeah.
Can I remove this OneDrive thing?
I don't know. I don't know if you can. I think like a good portion of it is actually baked into the OS now.
Bastards. I've just got it. It's just
That might not be true.
Yeah, because the competitor to OneDrive is next to it. Like I've got a Dropbox folder and it appears next to OneDrive. But I haven't got anything in OneDrive, and there's no way to remove it. Oh well, never mind.
Well,
Okay.
just use the space. You get a couple of gigs. Just fill it with some with some
crap.
stuff. Yeah,
Oh, can I? Okay.
Use the classic Gmail technique.
yeah.
Infinite
random
free
crap in there.
accounts. Let's use Gmail as a hard drive. Hilarious plan.
Anyway, Windows interrupting our podcast.
Nearly killed us before we got started.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good spot.
What else is going on?
You
Okay.
oh, no.
Already?
Oh, no.
You've got no random.
kind of skipped over the whole
I
random.
thought that's what you meant.
You were saving up random from last time, even.
Were we?
I thought.
Well, I did have a tale of woe and trains
No, yeah,
from
well,
last time.
I could tell because when I looked at the podcast, you'd written a blurb that was mysteriously about trains for some reason.
Well, it's because it was because of we didn't say it. I thought I could write
Oh,
something.
you stuck it in the blurb. Okay.
And as usual, we couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, and as usual, Rob just needed words to go in a text box.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
Don't we all?
Introducing a podcast is hard, man. It's like especially when
is.
you've done it 186 times.
Theoretically, those words probably should have something to do with what we talk about in the podcast,
Yeah, but then
other than
that's-
just the title, which is just a mashup of.
Various things we talk about, yeah. But then there's I always put
Well-
the second paragraph as in this episode.
Because that's not even really. That's more like a tag list than like an actual.
Kind of,
I
but
think
in,
it works.
but in text, and I will occasionally throw a little joke in there and
Yeah.
the
it's nice
random
done.
comments. And dental hygiene
Or ears.
or ears, yeah. Yeah, so I had a little Twitter fight with Greater Anglia. I keep saying Angular recently. Greater Angular.
Yeah.
I'm turning into Jane Goody. Like having a little Twitter fight with them over the ridiculous delay repay thing that they have. It's like it's great that it exists, but it's terrible how it actually functions. Right?
How does
so
it
I was on a
work?
train journey to London, and we were not the end of the world. I just want to clarify this. It's like I shouldn't really be being such an asshole for 36 minutes of delay. That's not the end of the world.
It's quite long on
But
a
it's-
1.5 hour train journey.
Sure, but it didn't involve a bus.
Mhm.
But it did involve a train cancellation and a hop. So we're 36 minutes late. Could be tracked. Blah 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 blah. You could work it out. So we went through the automated process by which you have to upload a photo of your ticket and give it all the details of what you were supposed to be on and how just a brief description of what happened and stuff like that. To which it very quickly came back and said, "Nah." It's like, you ain't got a claim. It's like, I want my 50% fare back. And it's like, okay, so there's an appeals system. So I went through that, and then that very quickly came back and said, "Nah." So like,
on what basis? Does it explain why?
So the first time, no. Well, actually, okay, yeah, they did give you some information. The first time was basically like, we've calculated that you weren't delayed by more than half an hour, and I'm like, yes. Yeah,
well, but you're getting close to the boundary, so
yeah, admittedly, but still, there's a whole 6 minute there, and I like went through in the appeal. I sort of ran through the calculation for you. We were on a train. It then got cancelled, and we were then put on another train that was itself late. So it adds up to this much of a delay, and then but the second response I got wasn't like, "Oh yeah, no, you're right, we'll sort that out for you." It was, "We've got no evidence that the ticket that you have clearly got has actually been used because it hasn't been defaced in any way."
Right.
So I then sent an angry email to customer services.
Because so it hasn't been defaced because the conductor should have done their job and come round, but they didn't.
Yeah. On that day, in all the train journeys I did, there was no conductors at any point basically that came and actually checked my ticket. But besides, Ipswich has like automated gates to deal with this. Liverpool Street has automated gates. It's like there's no need for the conductor on my route. Yeah,
that's true.
And to be honest, I think they sort of try and give themselves an easier job by not checking everyone when they know that you've got on at Ipswich. I think some of them are try to be smart like that. Yeah. Try. I suppose it's difficult on a big ass train with lots of people, but that's what I think is happening. Anyway, give the conductors their due. But yeah, so I then sent back an email saying, if it helps, I've attached a tastefully defaced version of the ticket. And basically, in giant calligraphy pen, wrote the word "defaced" all over it, and then tore it in half.
Nice.
And sent that to them, which worked.
Okay,
that worked.
I now have got half my money back.
Nice. So
the conductors still use a whole bunch, basically.
Some of them do.
Could you have just got
some of them? I could have done, but I wanted to make a point.
Yeah.
I wanted to do an over-the-top gesture to say "defaced," eh? Yeah. So the other thing, like a lot of conductors do, is they'll just get a pen and draw a spiral.
Right.
Just sort of go wiggly wiggly all over it. It's like this, someone looks at it, and it's like.
Yep.
But the bit that gets me is why does it matter whether or not a conductor looked at it or not? What do you personally stand to gain by buying a ticket
and then trying
for a train that was late?
Well, maybe if they're suggesting that it wasn't used, maybe you could have somehow else refunded that ticket and then tried to claim the delay on a journey that you didn't take.
I guess that, I suppose that would be true of tickets that weren't for a specific train, which I guess this was. This was like just a general peak ticket bought at the thing. Yeah, maybe that's possible because you could claim that it was on any possible train. But then, regardless of how the ticket has been defaced, that's no proof of what train you were actually on.
Well, no, that part still doesn't make sense. But
yeah,
the part that they want to prove that it's been used in some way, even if their way of proving it's been used is dumb.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense to me. There's no benefit to this process of theirs. Maybe if they had a very elaborate hole punch.
Yeah, it made a tiny star or something.
Yeah.
Something that you can't just buy off the shelf at a stationery store.
And, they made the automatic gates do it or something.
Yeah.
Like some sort of physical mark.
Or, prints a QR code onto it.
Oh, man, that'd be a bit hardcore.
Well, really?
There's only a limited amount of space on which they could actually print the code.
QR codes can be quite tiny if you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then you're relying on I suppose you could. Then you're relying on someone's camera being good enough to actually take a non-blurry photo of it.
Well, that's their problem.
Yeah.
If you can't make a photo good enough to prove whatever, then you need a better photo taking device.
Still, I won, and that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, good.
I won. I beat you. Stick it to the man.
Good work.
Lucky train. They do generally just suck, so any little victory is nice.
You're getting new trains, aren't you, at some point?
You might as well say that about anything.
But if they, yeah.
You get new trains at some point in the 50 years of the future, maybe.
They've announced them, right? And what they're going to be and when.
Are they going to be trains?
So,
Question.
I think so.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Not just. Well, I suppose there could just be a room, right? Just an empty room that you walk into.
Doesn't move anywhere.
No, you get out and then they say you're in London now. Good luck. It's actually an escape room. They just put everyone in an escape room for 8 hours and don't tell you how to get out. And then Danganronpa happens.
No, it's just a really long room that they just put on top of the railway, and then they just have signs that say like, "You need to move down the train, and you just happen to have walked to London by the time you get out the door.
Just keep move down inside the cars.
Can we just have a 100-mile-an-hour travelator we jump on? I suppose that's sort of what Hyperloop is.
Yeah, that's basically what a train is.
Yeah.
Essentially.
What if you basically had a series of like travelators?
How do you get on 100-mile-an-hour travelator? Do you just step onto it?
I'm seeing where Rob's going with this. I think I know where this idea is going.
You have a series of travelators next to each other, each of an increasingly faster speed.
So comparatively, they're all the same difference. So
yeah.
You step from one to the next, you're still only having to account for that amount of speed difference.
Yeah, so you're getting faster and faster and faster as you walk towards the middle of these travelators.
I'm not sure that would work. I have a feeling there'd be some other physics involved in speed up.
Well, wind resistance would become a problem.
Obviously.
Yeah.
There might be quite a wide travelator railway, because if it was the width of the current railway, you would if you ran across it, you'd accelerate to 100 miles an hour.
You'd have to be really very wide, and then you'd probably have to have it double-sided as well.
So you don't just fall off.
Well, or don't have a wall you just brush against and smear against on the other when you get to the far side. They probably need a wall attached to the super fast travelator that also moves at the same speed.
They need to make a small version of this that's at a theme park or something.
For ants.
For ants.
Yeah, for ants. Ant travelator.
It's the flea hyperloop. I won. Other than that, I've got a new couch, which we are currently sat on.
Oh, yeah? You got more room?
It's like halfway in the middle of the room because the old couch still exists.
The old couch is still here, yeah. So I've got it's behind the current couch. So
what's the verdict on the new couch?
It's fine.
It's fine.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Just fine. Well, I suppose by Zach commendation, he would never say it's the most amazing thing my arse has ever caressed.
No one would ever say that.
Maybe Rob would.
Even if he did say it, he'd only be saying it like ironically hyperbolic. It's not like anyone would actually literally say that and mean it.
I could write a legit cat sofa review blog and then start running out of the words by which to describe my reviews and therefore come up with cruder and cruder references to butt comfort.
You still have
what would you call
kind
that?
of poopy cushions.
Well, yeah, but they're not as necessary on this couch.
No. Were they necessary on the other couch, really?
For me, yeah, because that thing was quite uncomfortable without them. Not for you. You seem to be perfectly fine being...
You have short legs.
That is a thing, actually. And the first time Noam and I sat on this sofa, like we sat normally, and it's like, my feet only just touch the ground. It's like it's flattened a little bit since we got it, like because the foam was quite firm and like tall when we first sat on it. But Noam and I just sat there like kicking our legs like kids.
Dumb.
Actually, if I got rid of these pillows,
yeah, then you'd be too far back.
Live shuffling. Yeah, there we go.
But it doesn't actually work because then the bend of your knees doesn't interface with the edge of the pillow correctly.
No. So, yeah, I can be a child if I want, which is great.
That's just a general statement, nothing to do with the couch.
Yeah.
What does the cat think?
The cat's not here right now, but the cat doesn't know where to sit currently.
Right.
Because she always used to sit on the arm next to me. But these arms are more rounded. They're not the square
Oh no.
sitting positions anymore. And I can't store remote, which is a little bit irritating because it means I can't store my remote control collection on them.
Well, you'll have to get one of those dangly bag things that go over.
Oh, no, those are horrible, man. those are probably the ugliest invention.
Not that bad.
So for
You can get
dangle
one
bags.
that's, like grey,
Dangle bags,
so
yeah.
it matches.
Dangle bags.
Don't get me wrong, they're incredibly practical, but they just look horrible. Don't like them.
Fair.
It's like when you get those. Have you ever seen like those reclining couches that have like a for some reason the remote control is attached to a curly wire? It's
No.
like you've just bought this really lovely couch, but for some reason the control to turn the motor to make it recline.
Oh, it's on like a
a-
telephone wire.
Yeah.
Old style. Right.
And it's like, well, you just ruined this, haven't you? Because now you've got then they put a little crappy pocket on the side of the couch on which you can put
But
it.
you
put
never
in.
see it.
But it causes a lump in the side of your couch.
Which you also never see.
Not when you're sat on it, I suppose. But
Well, and depending on which direction your couch faces, you might never see it if it's
well,
like
no,
this.
it's against the wall, yeah. But like, yeah. To me, that's dumb.
You'd rather be inconvenienced than have things look slightly dumb.
It's kind of the point of redecorating the room. It's kind of make things look better.
At the cost of convenience.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, that's the entire nature of this house. Everything is put in the most convenient way possible.
Be inconvenient.
My house isn't that well. No. Oh, the house.
The house.
The
yeah.
house itself is fairly inconvenient for how we use it.
Light switches behind doors and all
Yeah.
those classics.
All those modern design dumbnesses, dummities. I would call them dummities. Yeah, but you know we've laid it out in the way that is most practical for our way of living, given the crapness that we deal with and the stuff we have.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. All right, come on. Yeah, but how would the school of
How would
Zach
Zach optimise?
run the efficiency?
We already talked about this several times on this podcast with
No, I haven't.
the long cable situation for the TV and like how you have like because of where the sockets are in this room. It's a constant trade-off between which bit of technology you want closest to what socket. And it's just like, I mean, that's still the house's fault, but
Yeah, it's not a trade-off.
there could possibly be better ways to do it still, even in this situation.
It's not a trade-off. It's like you either put the device where you want, or you run a cable, or both.
I think you meant those are the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
You
yeah.
meant one of those opposite.
Yeah, I did. I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
Right. I think it might be time for news.
Yeah.
Unless there's any kitchen bitching. It's been a while.
Our kettle still sucks.
Does your dad still have that lumberyard?
No.
No.
That was like a 1 year thing.
Okay.
They basically got rid of all the wood out of it. And then there was no wood to lumber.
I only bring that up because I now know people who would have been interested in acquiring some wood.
Too late. Too long.
Yeah.
Got sold.
Okay, I'm done. Random.
News. Yeah, what we got? What should we talk about first? Let's see.
Well, the most obvious one, shall we? Let's do the 2DS.
Go on.
Is
Yes.
that the most obvious one?
Well, because it happened immediately after the last podcast, pretty much. 2DS XL. They basically made the new 3DS and took the 3D out of it. So it's a
Okay.
2DS.
So
Yeah,
is this
clamshell.
actually like, because the previous 2DS was obviously for, parents buying it for children on a lower budget or whatever, or just general
Sure.
lower budgeting. Whereas this one, it's like, well, quite a lot of people don't actually have the 3D switched on. And this kind of just looks like it's got everything else you would want. So maybe it's the one to go for because it's cheaper. I don't know.
That does seem to be the thing, and the build quality looks nice, and the black and blue color scheme is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
maybe
it's like-
they don't care any longer, but like you're running into like the PlayStation versus PlayStation Pro situation where it's like now no one's going to bother developing 3D.
Sure.
I mean, not that anyone's really making games for the 3DS at the moment, but now there's even less reason to go through that hassle.
No, yeah, Ninty have officially killed the 3D by doing this, I guess. But
Do you think?
but
They have
but it wasn't-
3D in
it
all their
wasn't really
games,
that-
though, right?
Yeah,
Do they? Yeah.
all Ninty's first party stuff has fully supported it, and
Yeah.
the vast majority of the third party stuff has supported it in some way.
Yeah. I can't see that stopping just because of this. Do you think? I can't
Well-
see Nintendo putting out a 3DS game without.
You might be
3D.
right, but the bigger question is, as this is announced and released, it's like, is the 3DS just done still? That whole question still hangs. It's like, did they just have this in the works anyway, regardless of the Switch? Is there actually more software coming for DS?
I still don't think that the Switch can replace the 3DS. So
I think I'm moving more in that direction. Is the thing. I can't remember what my old stance was, but my current stance
I'm moving in a direction that probably wasn't what my previous thought. Yeah, okay.
That's what I think. I think I was more the Switch is going to murder it, right? The Switch is
Yeah.
the one thing Ninty does, and therefore
Yeah.
consolidates their platform. But
Yeah.
but I'm not sure. I think I'm with you now. I'm not sure that's true. I think they will keep the at least vaguely.
But God damn it, that
alive.
means we're never going to get Pokemon on the Switch.
Yeah,
No.
that is the possibility.
they
Well, we
are developing that, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well,
So
theoretically, still.
Still not officially announced. Yeah,
I think that's probably happening. I
Given
mean,
that we had a sort of name for it, didn't we? As
Well,
well.
theoretically.
Was it Pokemon Stars?
Yeah, that was the rumor. That's a well old rumor at this point. That was way before the Switch even came out.
Yeah.
That was a
It was
rumor.
before Sun and Moon came out, I think.
Well, it was about the same time that
Yeah.
something came out.
well, that might not be this year. I mean, it might be. If it is a version of Sun and Moon,
Like
Then
we
it-
suspect it was, then it
then
should be quick.
then it should be
but-
this year. Yeah. But I mean, they've already got like Mario for the Christmas time.
I
So
don't think you can just say that and just be like, oh, then they've got one game and therefore they shouldn't release any other games, especially because it's like
well, it sort of worked with Zelda.
Pokemon company, not necessarily Nintendo. Exactly.
It's
That's
hard to know.
true.
I don't think Nintendo will hype it as much because it is technically a re-release.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So I don't think they'll give it quite as much of a foreshadowing as they have with like Zelda and Mario.
And the fact that if we believe that it's going to come out this year, that's already kind of late to be foreshadowing it because
Yeah.
we're already getting several months into this year, and there's not much,
By this point, it is a little late for Nintendo.
I mean, maybe they'll just come out and say it'll be free.
Yeah.
That would be like the one thing where we'd be like, and here comes Pokemon on the Switch, and that's it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The sort of and one more thing.
I don't think they'd waste a one more thing on it.
You reckon?
No, it's not. It's
Not
not a
big
big
enough.
enough thing to be a one more thing. Although, who knows what Nintendo has that is a big enough thing for a one more thing. I
Sure
mean,
they'll have something.
theoretically, one more things are meant to be the surprises that no one actually knows, and therefore we shouldn't know what they are going to do.
And one more thing. More amiibo. Now available. All our previous amiibo are now being re-released, but at twice the size.
You want them at half the size.
What mini
Mini amiibos.
Minibo?
Yep. Then you could carry them around easier.
I'd be on board for some minibo. That's not a bad idea.
I didn't realize that. Like, there's a lot of amiibo. Like, it's obviously clearly
Yeah.
very successful. Like, I didn't think they'd go this far with it. Having all the licenses for everything. But I mean, clearly it's pretty killer.
Well, I mean, the jury's still out on the practicality of having them as the toys to life element of them. I suppose what you gain out of them
Because
from the
for
game.
some reason, still no one's actually done anything with that, really.
Not
Yeah,
As
they're
in
mostly
Nintendo.
just toys. Yeah,
yeah.
it's not like
And,
Skylanders quite, is it? Or even
No, and the memory that's inside them is limited to the point where it's like you can't actually store practically anything on them. So
Yeah.
using them as a full-on save device, it stops
Yeah,
you from
it's
doing what you
impractical, yeah.
probably need to do with them. But But as nice collectibles, nice figurines, an official Nintendo figurine series.
Yeah.
If you just take that part on their own, they're pretty cool things.
Yeah.
I like them. I like the ones I have anyway. I've got like 3 of them. Only 3. I'm not like a crazy person.
Right, that's the 2DS. Another Ninty news. Well, there's Zelda DLC. Should we talk about that?
As Zelda fans, I think you should.
Zach, have you seen this announcement?
Yes, I saw the announcement. Or,
So-
well, not exactly the announcement. I saw an image that told you what was in the announcement. And then
So
I was
what-
like, that's sufficient information.
So what we got? A few things, right? Rather than... It's not really clear that there's, like, new, like, shrines or story content. I don't think there is there? This is DLC 1,
No.
though, right? So this is
Well,
just like...
This is the first.
It's 1 and 2, I think, they've announced.
Right.
I don't
Oh,
know
was
what
it?
the
Was
split
this
is between
both?
these ones.
No, I thought this was just everything
this
that
is
we
just
knew
the
about
first
was
one.
just the first half of the pack of 2. That
That's
you had
what
to buy.
That's what I heard.
Because you
So-
can't buy just this pack, can you? You have to buy the opt-in pass to both of them.
I thought this was 1 and 2 and they hadn't announced anything for free.
Not sure. Anyway, what you get in this one is...
right, unless 1 is the update you were talking about where they added the Switch T-shirt. Is that what you mean?
No.
No.
No, that's just a patch, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
You've got Trial of the Sword, right? So it's like a, horde mode type thing. 45 rooms of enemies, not 100 as we were discussing from 1,000 Year Door style.
Yeah.
But it
Bit
will,
of
like-
trap.
Or
Yeah.
Zelda. That was
Twilight
Twilight Princess.
Yeah, that was in there. Yeah.
And that powers up the Master Sword if you get through it. I don't know if that
means.
allows you. Well, apparently it makes it always powered up and glowing, but I don't know
guess
if
it
that
stops its cooldown, or because it has some
Yeah.
sort of cooldown, doesn't it?
does it allow you to use it on normal enemies and not have that issue where it becomes unusable for a while or whatever with a cooldown. I don't know.
Presumably that will lessen the effect.
But the glowing thing has like another purpose. Like the whole reason you have the glowing thing is so you can detect when.
That's spoilers.
Yeah, so you can
Yeah.
detect things.
Yeah.
And if it glows all the time, you won't be able to do that any longer.
Also available is the Hero's Path, which is like just a name for a menu option that gives you a trail of where you've been over the past 200 hours, which seems pretty cool.
Yeah, that actually seems reasonably useful.
Yeah,
Like if
I
you're
want
struggling to figure out where you have or can't remember where you have and haven't been.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want like the exact line. I don't know. Maybe some kind of like. Oh, it's good. It'd be kind of difficult to like show on a map, but I'd always like a kind of thing that showed me what I looked at, like what was in my field of view. But then you'd have to like have it detect like how far away things were from your field of view to be like you looked at this but not very closely, so maybe you should go closer.
Or you'd have it, could you do it like as a heat map to be like
Yeah.
you spent a lot of time looking at this particular bit of ground?
Just having a line doesn't necessarily mean that you actually saw everything there. Like you could have easily walked straight past something because you were looking in the opposite direction as you walked 2 feet away from it.
That's probably like a million times more data points to store as well.
Yeah,
Like.
I mean,
Hmm.
not very easy.
I definitely
It's not
missed
that
stuff
bad,
all
I
the
guess,
time.
because you just the map is the map, right? Like you just segregate it into rough squares, I guess,
I
and
guess.
your algorithm would just increment those squares over time.
But I mean,
But then the scale would probably have to change the more you play the game, right? Like, oh, don't get too deep into this.
I don't think a line would even like when I tried to like explore a new area thoroughly. I was just like, you can do if you're a human being with a brain, you can just do that. You look at the map and you be like, I need to follow this route more or less, and then I'll cover all the terrain. You don't like a line isn't going to help you that much afterwards.
But it might. It's a long old game.
Well, yeah, but like if you're going back to an area, that means you didn't do it right the first time.
That's certainly true of a lot of areas I've been in, so I'm sure I didn't do them right.
Nope.
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 Sounds like Dan just got disconnected again.
Yeah, we did have issues before going online that Dan might drop. He's still connected right now.
Yeah, but that's just fake connection. It has
Fake
pinged him
connection,
and realised
yeah.
that he's gone.
No timeouts yet.
No.
Oh well.
Yep. No, he's back.
Yeah.
Hello.
He returns.
It
Not
didn't
quick enough to
actually-
DC.
didn't actually DC me. Anyway. Yeah. And they're also putting in like a hard mode. With like raw
Which makes all the
hardcore
bad
enemies,
guys
I guess.
tougher, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes the bad guys regenerate their health and stuff, and they're all powered up a level.
Like, how fast can it make them regenerate their health that it'll matter?
I don't know.
Because if you're fighting an enemy, you're hitting them continuously. Like, there's very rarely a case where you're hitting one enemy for a minute and then you change target to a different enemy.
Yeah, no, I agree. Apparently, there's like hidden treasures floating in the sky in that mode or something.
Yeah, I did read that.
It's quite weird.
Does that mean? But is that treasures especially for those that like?
Well, in this
make the
screenshot,
crazy flying things, the raft, the airship raft.
there seems to be.
You can use the glitches.
Yeah, well, they're not
Probably
glitches,
not.
aren't they? The airship raft is just an abuse of the physics.
Yeah, I'd still call that as like kind of.
And then there's this travel medallion thing where you can register a fast travel point wherever you want in the world, and you can warp to there.
Which I'm sure will be useful for harvesting dragon parts.
You think?
I mean,
Yeah.
when I harvest the dragon parts, there's some shrines that you can use that are in appropriate locations where it's only like a couple of minutes to run to the right location just before the dragon gets there, and it's like, oh, that's sweet. But if you just could set up an even closer one, it'd be much quicker.
Mm. I suppose you just have to wait to the right time of day, right, to warp to that point.
Yeah, I eventually worked out a route where I could do all 3 dragons one after another in one day, so it was the quickest way to do it.
Cool. I still haven't managed to harvest any dragon pass. I don't really understand what you have to do yet. Shoot at the head, I guess. I don't know.
Well, there's the one shrine quest that tells you.
Oh, is there? Oh, I need to get that one. I don't know where that is. I'm sure I'll find it sometime. Right, cool. That's Zelda DLC. Oh, and also they added in a patch, they added dual audio finally. So I switched to that. Japanese voices, or whatever you want, language voices, with English subtitles. Or whatever, vice versa.
The thing is, all the stuff about the English acting being bad kind of makes me want to just play it in English and enjoy the bad.
You should.
Yeah, go for it.
Because that sounds funny. You know,
it is quite funny, but the thing is that everything else in the game is so great that it's a bit jarring to have one thing that's a bit weird.
I think it's that jarringly weird compared to some other things that are weird in that game. Random bits of weirdness occasionally turn up in that game.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Like what's a good example?
Just like several of the actual, I guess, what you'd call like main storyline NPCs. Mainly the 2 professors. They're both incredibly weird, and that's
Great.
not because of voice acting. They're just like the actual text is still weird.
Yeah. I like those guys. They're meant to be weird. They've got like weird music.
Well, yes,
and
they're
everything.
meant to be weird, and that's what they succeeded.
Yeah.
Weirdness occurs.
Weird
So yeah,
music,
that's cool. Right, what else have we got? Do you say something, Rob, about some kind of Mario Cross Raging Rabbits game?
Yeah, so Kotaku supposedly have an insider source who says that they're and provided Kotaku with production assets that seem to suggest that a Raving Rabbit cross Mario RPG game is a real thing. As in it's happening.
What sort of RPG?
Don't know.
Like when they say Mario RPG, do they mean literally like Mario and Luigi, or do they mean like Paper Mario, or do they mean just generic RPGers?
I don't know. Well, paper rabbits. Do you reckon?
It wouldn't make sense in any of those, really. It's like I don't think the rabbits have ever been low enough resolution to go in a Mario and Luigi game.
But yeah, I don't really know what choice would you have. The rabbits have a style, and that style is almost like
Doesn't seem to fit with Mario and Luigi.
Well, it has to be polygonized, right?
Well, yeah.
It has to be.
I mean, it could. I mean, maybe it could not be actual Mario. Like maybe the rabbits could get involved in some part of the Mushroom Kingdom, like the universe.
So Kotaku does publish some. I'd forgotten this from when I read it, but I've just looked it up. They did. So there are 3 details here. Are you ready? Turn-based combat.
So it's an RPG.
So it's an RPG.
Yeah.
2-player local co-op play. Somehow.
Well, that could mean just point at the screen and collect star bits. I mean,
Sure.
that could mean anything.
And a goofy sense of humour.
Well, no shit. It's got rabbits in it.
Yep, those are the 3 bullet points we know. But Kotaku add, the art that we've been shown features Mario and crew wielding guns and shooting laser beams.
Right.
In what context? Is this like Mario Party 2 where they go to space and they suddenly become space dudes?
And will feature 8 playable characters. 4 of which are Mario characters.
And 4 of which are rabbits?
Dressed as Mario characters.
Okay. But then that means like real characters. That's just kind of weird. It just doesn't seem to fit. It's like Mario isn't like goofy. I mean, occasionally it's kind of silly, but not like rabbit silly.
So the name is also called Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, supposedly.
Okay.
Mario plus Rabbids. Plus Rabbids. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Sure.
Basically, Nintendo are running out of ideas and getting other developers to make Mario games.
Well, maybe.
I feel they're concentrating on their own bloody proper Mario game.
They have one Mario game, yeah.
Yeah. Only need one if it's good. If it's just anywhere near as good as Zelda, it's going to be awesome.
You only need one. Except they didn't stop.
Right, what else?
Last generation was the one where they couldn't stop.
I suppose that's true.
Sonic Forces footage.
Yep.
Green Hills.
They've shown us some classic Sonic footage, and it's the Green Hills zone. So Zach and I differ on opinion on this one. I think it looks alright. It looks very much like Generations to me, except they've upped the graphical fidelity.
Except
and
not.
There's grass and it moves.
You actually look at the side-by-side video, you'll see that while the graphics are better and there is grass and it moves, the actual level design is like way worse. And like, well, basically they got rid of all the fancy stuff in Generations. Like, you know how Generations, even in the 2D Sonic, it would occasionally change camera angle or do a like crazy spiral for a minute.
Sure.
There's none of that in the Forces one. It's just straight 2D the whole time.
Well, in fairness, we don't know if that's just a single, because it doesn't seem to be that long either, because it's an entire run through.
It's about the same length as the Generations run through that they side by side it with.
Sure, but yeah, I guess we don't 100% know. And there's other routes on that stage and things like that.
Well, sure. But surely they want to show off the interesting thing, or like the main route that everyone's going to see.
And the other thing I was going to say, we don't know if they're going to go for the single act formula, I guess, like per zone.
I'm always hoping this is like some kind of really dumb bait and switch where this is the only classic Sonic level, and the whole rest of the game is something else.
That would be really bad, but pretty funny. Yeah. It's also sort of in contrast to what we'd seen from the modern Sonic stage, right?
Yeah,
like it's green. It's green.
It's Green Hills.
It's not on fire.
Sand, I mean, there's something going on. Something's getting fucked up in the distance.
Well, maybe this is the thing. Maybe it's the concept of the game is a zone mashup, right? So they take 2 zones and they're somehow
I
getting.
think that seems likely. How this has been going, except not really, because this Green Hill zone that they showed is just Green Hill zone. And it does appear to be a complete level, more or less.
Yeah. Still, looked alright to me. We'll see how it pans out over the course of the whole game. But
what happens with the third character? What plays?
Yeah, who is the mystery? Have we talked about that before? Yeah, the mystery third character.
Like, what playstyle is he going to have?
Silver.
Well,
it's no use.
It would be like. The logical is like if you've got 2D Sonic and then you've got what you call 3D Sonic, but that's basically just 2D but with a 3D camera. I
Oh
guess.
wow, what you mean like Sonic 3D Sonic?
Well, no, I mean like an actual 3D platformer.
No, what if it was Saturn Sonic, right? And it's for some reason low poly Sonic.
It's not going to be low poly. That would be the most ridiculous, like generations where they're like, oh, classic Sonic and modern Sonic meet up, and they don't recognise that they're different because they don't perceive the difference in their view.
No,
And then like low poly Sonic comes in and is like, oh, there's another Sonic. I can't tell any difference between these three Sonics.
And the other two are like, you're way different, mate. That'd be really funny. But no, it's got to be Sonic Boom Sonic, right?
I really hope not.
Just bandages and scarf Sonic.
No.
Just rocks up and be like, you don't know how bad it gets.
The future, it's terrible.
There's like snake dudes in spacesuits. And, I'm bandaged up. And maybe we get to learn why he's bandaged up.
It doesn't look like another Sonic, though. It looks like a different species.
Oh. Sticks. Sticks the Badger returns.
But yeah, the gameplay style for that is just like, what is there left? Just straight 3D platforming would be the obvious one that they don't have, I guess.
Shovel Knight. It's a Shovel Knight cameo.
Clearly not.
Shovel Knight's in everything. Forces. It could be okay. Apart from its weird sort of like
We're at that point now.
Russian ass logo.
Oh well.
It's a little
There's
comedy.
always Sonic Mania.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one we care about.
But that's going to be too expensive.
What, you reckon? You reckon it'll be like a full... What's the
Well,
price
I
range?
reckon it would be too expensive for how much content there is, regardless of whether that means there's a lot of content and it's a full price game, or there's not so much content and it's not a full price game.
That's pretty much the Sonic mantra, though.
Yep.
It always has been.
What?
But
Bad
it somehow
value for
feels
money.
worse when it's a old school style 2D game.
Mm. Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though
yeah.
it's fancy and modern and new and like awesome pixel graphics, it's still like there's going to be 7 zones and there's going to be 2 acts per zone. It will still feel like a ripoff to some
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah, they always are. Even they never seem to have like just expanded the formula in a meaningful way, right? Like, I suppose it's hard to build decent levels, that number of decent levels, but
Well, sure, but you think the majority of the work is making the tile set, and then you can just like throw them into them. The level design theoretically should take as long.
maybe.
I mean, there was Sonic Advance 3 where there was 3 acts per level.
They went back to that.
Gasp!
Yeah, they haven't done that since Sonic 2. Actually, that's probably a lie. There's probably some game that has since then that's had 3 acts.
Well, it depends whether you count 3 acts as in like 3 real acts, or like whether the ones that have boss acts are sort of actually acts or not.
I guess that sort of counts, yeah.
Like Sonic CD.
Sonic 1, I guess, in that case, was the only one that had like a full-on 3rd act.
What about the Game Gear? That had 3, right?
Yeah, but most of the time the 3rd act was a boss act.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I remember.
Back in the GG. Did I talk about that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think
I played those. Yeah. GG Sonic.
Okay, that
News.
that's
What else we
Sonic.
got? Yeah.
We have Call of Duty.
Yeah. I'm less hype about it than I was,
Me too.
because that trailer is. It's not as creative as anybody. I mean, they're just revisiting, right?
No,
It's
exactly. They're even
like
doing the beach assault from Medal of Honor Allied Assault again.
It's not
or
even a
whatever.
different beach assault.
No,
is it?
it's the same one. It's Omaha Beach, isn't it? Like we
Yeah.
had that in Saving
Well,
Private Ryan.
That's what we speculated.
I know.
Just like
But
But
it's
the-
disappointing.
But the kind of clips they're showing of like what's going to be the story stuff or whatever, it doesn't sort of, from what I could see from those little clips, for me, it's not like fitting the. I don't know. It's not fitting the time period. I don't know.
Oh right, what you mean the storytelling and the
Just the feeling
portrayal
of-
of the characters is a bit anachronistic.
Yeah, I think so. Just the way the characters are talking seems a bit off compared to like films like Band of Brothers or Saving Private Ryan style. Obviously, they're
Right,
they're in the army and they're not talking super formally or anything, but it just seems a bit. I don't know. Anyway,
Not quite
so
on
I'm
its
not.
time.
Yeah, not excited about what looks like the story of it.
But clearly, the way that they succeed, like the one thing that matters in that entire trailer is right
It's
at
the end.
where it just
It goes
ping.
ba-ching. Yeah.
That's all we need to know about World War II.
That was by far the best part. Is at least they realised the importance of that ching sound, and they put
Yeah.
that front and centre. I mean, that was the one thing that made me think that actually is good. Is it because I was making me think? Is that just us that think that, or is that a generally known thing? Or
No, I think the Garand is quite. I think it's quite revered for its satisfying ping. It's the Garand, isn't it? The M1.
yeah, the M1 Garand. Yeah. I mean,
like in the description of it in the Gungeon, it's like this is the quintessential rifle or whatever. And it's like the AK has a similar description where it's like those two guns specifically
They're legendary.
have very legendary descriptions suggesting things about how good they are.
Yeah. Well, I hope they get that gun right for the multiplayer, because that would be. Can you do that like mutators, and it'd be quite fun to be just a whole round of just M1s.
I don't know actually. The COD's never been
No, it's not that style.
big
is it?
on that. I know it does. I mean, it does have the ability to set custom games, I think, but for invite only stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Oh, I'm hoping.
I don't even know if they'd let you modify it that much.
I mean, this will be the main thing that's interesting about this, I guess, is like we'll finally get to see what happens when someone tries to just make a World War II game again. Because we thought Battlefield 1 might be it, but that wasn't. That was just regular ass modern shooter, but with a World War 1 skin.
Well, this is going to be that too.
Yeah, but not really though, because they're not they're not trying to do like Battlefield 1 did, where they were like, we'll take World War 1, but we'll make it fanciful, and it's not actually trenches for the majority of the time.
Yeah.
So in this
We'll
case,
make it Battlefield. We'll make it World War 1, but with a lot more fighting.
yeah, with like actual battles, not just standing around and getting gassed.
Well, that wasn't going to be entertaining, yeah.
But yeah, like World War 2 is already just generic fighting.
Yeah.
And like they can't like amp that up very far. And if they're going to use like real guns, and because like that was the other thing that Battlefield 1 did, where they used all the secret like fancy guns that didn't actually really get used. They're like, we need machine guns, so we're going to find all these prototypes that never actually got used that much.
Yeah.
Just so we can stick to the modern shooting formula.
Yeah, they won't have to do that.
And, there won't be any jetpacks or, like, exoskeletons.
Drones.
Which is what Call of Duty's been doing for the last...
Sure. There'll be the movement stuff will go, which will be... I think that's actually, in a weird way, that's probably the most interesting thing about this, is how they sort that out, and then how the multiplayer fits into this.
Yeah, exactly.
That in a weird way is, like, I want to see them go back to that, and what can they make of it? And it's...
That'll be the test of, like, do people care?
Because it's Sledgehammer's year as well, let's not forget. And they were...
Sledgehammer, yeah.
Of the last few Call of Duties, they may have been the most innovative, right?
Are they the B team or the A team or the C team?
The B no one really knows anymore.
No.
Because, they were the guys that introduced these new movement things to Call of Duty last time. The exosuit was their attempt at, we need some Titanfall in this.
Yeah.
And they did a pretty good job of it. And made it different. It wasn't just Titanfall. Whereas Black Ops 3 was, this is a bit more Titanfall. But not as good as Titanfall. So, I'm intrigued to see what they come up with. This is their difficult second album, really. It's like, this is how they really prove themselves.
Yeah, but not really, though, I don't think. Because it's not like this is... Because of the way it's going back to World War II, it's not like it's just a follow-on. It's like it's a new game, almost, because you're not just taking the Call of Duty formula and iterating on it as much.
Sure, but I guess this is what I mean. It gives them more room to put their own stamp on it, because they don't have to build on what they've done before.
Sure, but it also limits what they can do. They can't just make ridiculous exosuits and jetpacks out of nowhere and just invent a story reason for it.
No, but I guess what I mean is at least on the multiplayer side, they'll probably have to rethink some of how the loadout system, for instance, has worked over the last few years. They're going to have to come up with new ways of perhaps what the what the kill streak bonuses actually are, because they can't be ridiculous drone strikes.
Artillery.
Yeah, probably just
Very targeted artillery.
Yeah, pigeons.
Yeah, exactly.
Killer pigeons.
Well, that would be the UAV equivalent.
Yeah.
Deploy the pigeon, and then people will just appear on the mini-map, which for some reason also exists.
No, the map will just get surrounded by dudes with binoculars that the enemy team can then go and kill.
Suddenly just dudes with binoculars are standing.
Yeah. It could be really interesting, but we'll see. As with everything we've said thus far,
But do people care? That's the question.
I mean, I sort of care right now, because
Not sure if I care.
Like, I don't mean you. I mean, like, the people who normally play Call of Duty.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Right? Yeah, like, do the Call of Duty fan base want this?
Yeah, in any way.
Yeah, good question.
Or are they? Have they even at this point managed to get burnt out on Call of Duty being the same all the time?
Well, this is at least the same.
Well, that's what I mean.
Other than it's the same as where it started.
Yeah.
It is interesting, if nothing else, that they felt it was the time to do this. It's probably smartly so, actually. Given Black Ops 3 was a bit tepid, maybe that was Sledgehammer must have been working on this from day one of finishing the last one. But
or maybe Activision were just hoping, like, they saw Battlefield 1, so they saw what Battlefield were doing, and they were like, well, shit, Battlefield's well known for being World War II, so surely their next game is going to be World War II, so we'll have to get in there first. We'll steal the World War II thunder in the modern age.
when would we have known about? When would they have known about Battlefield 1? I guess is the. I guess we don't know.
Well, I guess how long does it take to make a Call of Duty game, really? If you've already got this engine that you've probably been using for quite a while, I imagine.
And actually, in this time, you're probably taking a lot of it out.
Yeah. You have a gun physics engine where it's like, the bullets come out this fast.
They probably don't have a lot of assets they can reuse, though.
Well, no.
In this one.
I guess you do.
Not even just ground and environment textures. They probably can't really. No. They probably don't have a lot for that.
A lot of stuff from space that doesn't really work.
Yeah, a lot of cityscapes and things that they can't use.
No, we'll see.
Modern tarmac,
but yeah, they clearly tried to steal Battlefield's World War II thunder by going back to World War II first.
Probably sensible. Do you reckon we'll see Battlefield 2?
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense at this point, right?
Battlefront and Battlefield 2 is a two-for pack. Kill the twos. And I've just shown Bad Company 2 for the hell of it.
Of course.
Or maybe this will be the time for Battlefield to flip it and do the Call of Duty thing and go to space. Actual space
Battlefield.
Or actual future Battlefield.
2143.
They've got too much
more than that, though.
Going on. That's
like actual future.
What do you mean actual future? Like,
well, 2142 was like had conventional weapons and stuff. It wasn't actually that futuristic.
Other than the tanks hovered.
Yeah, that was like the one thing.
And there was a mech.
But Halo's got shotguns. I mean, is that not futuristic?
But then they also have the Needler.
Yeah. The humans have shit weapons. And they're well known for being shit.
They're some of the more effective guns, or as effective guns. All the guns are effective.
Yeah, they're all the same for gameplay reasons. But people in the universe regularly comment on like how the human weapons are so generic and kind of not great.
Yeah, they haven't progressed past brute force.
Yeah.
Cool. What else we got? Rumours of Bayonetta 3, maybe? Or
these are call that rumours.
Yeah, these are really spurious, to be honest. But there's a lot
these ARG type rumours.
Yeah, but it's not unknown for Platinum to do things like this, though. So hot on the heels of the Bayonetta 1 PC release, this all got kicked off by recently they released a super tiny patch for Bayonetta, the Steam version, that mysteriously added an image of Sam, who's the main character from Vanquish, as like a little avatar icon into the game. And it's like, why would they do this? Why would you want to play as Sam Gideon or for some reason represent yourself as Sam Gideon unless there's some kind of PC thing going on? They're doing a PC port of Vanquish, aren't they? It's like, which would be awesome. Because, I mean, the original ran at like 30 frames on a 360 and only got an Xbox 360 release. So it probably didn't do nearly as well financially for them as it probably should have because, you know, it wouldn't have sold to the Japanese market on the 360, particularly. Even though I guess you could argue that style of it's still a shooter, right? It's still a Western-ish game, just with crazy movement. And it was good fun. It was very high energy. It was, you know, the skills you had and the actual rocket sledding about was cool. Constant knee slides, basically. It was a cool game. So I would like to see that but it was very fast, and 30 frames per second I don't think really does it justice. So, you know, a 60 FPS update would be real nice.
Yeah, that would definitely improve it. I can see that making quite a big effect.
I would 100% play that game again as well. So, yeah,
what was it? They were like space Russians, weren't they, or something? Or first,
basically, yeah, space robot Russians.
Right, robot, yeah.
Versus some kind of American-ish force. Well, they were still space Russians, but their entire army were robots. Yeah, they had a lot of robots. I think we had some robots, but they had more. And some big ones. So yeah, there's that for Vanquish, which I think would be cool. And in line with some of what they've been doing, what Sega in general have been doing recently. Because I think this was a Sega published game as well, Vanquish. So it's the possibilities there. So the weirder thing that's going on, and this is probably even more spurious, is the rumor that they are working on Bayonetta 3 because they on their website they supposedly posted video clips from Bayonetta 1 and 2, but those clips mysteriously repeat 3 times over the course of the video. It's like they've been purposefully badly edited and uploaded as a batch. There's a batch of 5 of them, I think they said there were, and it's but everyone's going, why 3 times? Why are they all repeat 3 times? 3. It's the rule of 3. It's Bayonetta 3. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
That must be quite fun if you're on the 3rd game of a franchise and you can do stupid Half-Life 3 style teases.
Yeah,
but for real.
But that would be super.
but actually existing, not Half-Life 3
exactly.
teasers that never have existed.
Yeah, but that would be super exciting as well because Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 2 is one of my favorite games ever. So it's
do you think it'd be a Switch game or a PC game or
who knows? Who really does know what they'll do with it? Jury's still out on Bayonetta 2, obviously ever being ported because of the Nintendo relationship. But I would think they would go straight in on just modern consoles, and maybe the Switch would be an addition. It depends if Nintendo are doing the publishing, right?
It'd be super weird if Bayonetta 3 only came out for Xbox. Then you'd have 1 on PlayStation, 2 on Wii U, 3 on Xbox.
But the original Bayonetta got a 360 release.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. Well, no, there was dual launch, wasn't it? The 360 and PS3, and the PS3 one was actually terrible. Of the original Bayonetta, serious performance issues.
I don't remember.
No, because we played the 360 one, right? That's why we don't remember.
We did, yeah.
But
that rings a bell.
But yeah, no, I seem to remember the PS3 version getting a bit lambasted of the original Bayonetta. It wasn't a very good job. It's probably okay, but I think it's literally you put it up next to the 360 version. There was significant improvements in spots. But that's all. That's entirely from memory. As usual, I could be totally wrong. But Bayonetta 3, yeah, totally play that.
We should find out. Look forward to it if it becomes a thing.
Unless it's a troll to be like, hey, this is Bayonetta 1 plus 2 in some kind of PC port combo pack soon after they just released Bayonetta 1 on PC. But yeah, that's not going to happen. It can't be that.
Yeah.
It'd be a bit too cheeky. But the other thing against all of this is that, Platinum's A team supposedly put out Nier Automata not that long ago. Automata.
Automato.
Automato. Yeah. Barbecue Automato. Yeah. So they if this is a thing, they probably haven't had long to be working on it.
Well,
but then the B teams haven't been putting out so much recently. So the other parts of Platinum haven't been putting out so much shovelware of late.
But if this is a thing, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come out anytime soon either. This could just be a really long-term teaser.
Yeah.
Could be.
Bayonetta 3 coming out in 2 years.
In 3 years. Because 3. We've just started. Ha.
So, speaking of Half-Life 3, Chet Falish, how do you pronounce his name? That was the writer of like the Half-Life 2 episodes and Portal, and along with Mark Laidlaw and stuff. Mark Laidlaw already quit Valve, but this other guy, Chet Falishek, has also left Valve. I think he was the lead writer on Portal too. Right. Yeah, Falishek. Chet Falishek. He's quit Valve too after 12 years. So all their and he did all the writing on Left 4 Dead as well.
As little of that as I suppose it was a reasonable amount of writing.
Yeah, I'd say.
Just not high impact writing.
Yeah, it's a different kind of writing, isn't it, I suppose? Same for Half-Life, I think. Well, no.
Did he get bored of them not making games?
He was like, they're not making any games with writing.
I assume so. I mean,
well, they've got those 3 VR games that are probably quite writing heavy.
Not really. Well, maybe.
We don't know. Probably. So, what does this mean? Is it bad? Is it bad times at Valve in terms of actual game making, or is it good times? We just can't tell. It can't be good if there's people going, I can't be bothered. Some
of the long-termers leaving anyway.
Yeah.
Well, maybe because they're long-termers, maybe they're just like, I'm done with games.
Maybe they're just old.
They're going to go make some craft beer.
Yeah, I suppose they're probably done pretty well out of it. So
yeah. Or they wanted to do something very different that Valve wouldn't get behind and wanted to form their own studio. But isn't that the Valve thing, where they could just do what they wanted if they wanted to?
In theory, it doesn't seem to. In practice,
no. There's not a lot of output, is there?
Yeah.
No.
Well, never mind. Yeah, that's that. And then my final bit of news that I've got here is the reveal of Darksiders 3.
So you liked the first one, didn't you?
Yeah, I played it. It was good. It was like a kind of Zelda homage, but like more rock and roll, I suppose, because you played as War. And then Darksiders 2, you played as Death. I didn't play that one.
And apparently that was quite a different game.
Yeah,
like structurally.
So it looks like you play as Fury in this new one, who's a lady.
Not correct. You couldn't call it War. I mean, come on.
Well, hang on. Weren't they doing? Is Fury actually one of the 4 horsemen?
What are the names of them? Famine. I thought it was Pestilence and Famine.
Pestilence, yeah. Pestilence and Famine, which is kind of weird. Those really kind of almost fall in the same category.
Yeah,
almost.
Well, Pestilence tends to cause famine. I think it was the
or the other way around.
Death, famine, war, conquest.
Conquest? That's not right. That's war again.
I know. So conquest and war are the same, and famine and death.
Except it's not famine because it's Fury.
Yeah,
maybe it isn't pestilence. Anyway, whatever it was, it was always wrong.
Secret 5th horseman in something. I don't remember. I think that might be in Discworld. Conquest is like the 5th horseman, and they have to give out retirement.
Right. So yeah, but some of the artwork looks pretty good for that they've shown. Or
who's picking that up? Because wasn't that a THQ joint?
That's the thing, isn't it? I was still wondering that. So let me check that, because that was the whole thing, wasn't it? Because that all shut down.
Yeah. I bet it's Deep Silver.
THQ.
Or no, or is it?
Who are they?
Yeah, it's Nordic. So it is, I think, Deep Silver who rebranded that that the old THQ net titles to be not. Oh no, but then Nordic Games are involved as well, isn't they? Because that's why it's Nordic.
Darksiders 3 is
I don't know. I get very lost.
Gunfire Games. The studio founded by the people behind the original Darksiders developer Vigil Games. Right.
Yeah, I
so
remember Vigil.
So now they're called Gunfire Games, but it's the same people from the original games.
Well, that's cool. It's cool that they got the big
and you have to fight
the old team back together.
Yeah. It's looking pretty cool. You have to fight the 7 deadly sins. Brilliant.
So I don't know anything about the story of those games, but it just doesn't seem to make sense.
No, it's
I
it's
vaguely
pretty
remember
stupid.
how the story of the first one was basically that, like, you have to get the other horsemen's under control, right? That was the vague premise.
I think that's right. Yeah. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway.
And so now the sins are out of control as well. Lols. They're all plugged. Because they're, like, generically evil, I suppose. Because they're sins. That's generally how characterization works.
Can't wait to fight Gluttony.
I don't know. I'm quite interested in the last boss.
I feel like there's been several games before that have done the 7 sins as bosses. I mean, apart from like Binding of Isaac, obviously, which literally does that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I was trying to think where that had been done recently, and I guess Isaac is the most recent example. Apart from Fullmetal Alchemist.
Right.
So Darksiders, cool. It's a fairly liked series, so I'm glad it's back.
Yeah.
And it's been long enough that it's not a problem, right? It's not like it's just another sequel. It's like it's a revival. It's a cool thing.
In a way.
But they also have this story that they keep leaving unfinished. Where it's like, after Darksiders 1, it didn't even seem like they were going to manage 2, and everyone was slightly annoyed about how they'd left that hanging. And then 2 happened. It's like, well, you've still really got another 2 games because, there's 4 horsemen. We need to wrap this up.
And the secret 5th one, of course.
Yeah, the secret 5th one.
The actual dark. It will be the 3rd one or the 4th one will just be the Darksiders. And then it'll be all of them working together as a co-op game.
That makes sense.
The Darksiders.
You never release 4s unless you're Halo. Or Final Fantasy, yeah.
Never release 4s. Or Micro Machines.
Okay. Or Dirt.
Or Dirt, yeah. Although technically this is Dirt 5, if you count Dirt Rally.
Well, technically this is like Colin McRae 9.
Yeah, it's Colin McRae like 9 or something, but it's like it'd be Dirt 6 if you counted Dirt Rally and Dirt Showdown. In the straight Dirt series, not the Colin McRae Dirt. But then was the first one just Colin McRae Dirt? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. I looked at some footage of that the other day. It was hilarious how much it had that brown filter on. It's just ludicrous. It looks so weird.
I thought about installing it not that long ago, just to see see how far we've come.
Next gen, man. It's so brown.
It's so brown. It was groundbreaking. But
I never understood why they chose a brown colour scheme for Quake. Oh, I guess it works, but...
Because it was meant to be brickwork and stuff, wasn't it? It was all Gothic architecture.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. It wasn't nearly so colourful as Doom. Anyway.
Most of Doom is green.
Yeah, I guess.
Doom is grey and green.
Even though it takes place on Mars, which you'd think would make it a lot more red.
Red, yeah.
You never really go outside in original Doom, do you? Or see outside, even, really.
No, because the engines weren't really suitable for that, were they, at the time? It would just be like a plane. So I'm pretty sure those engines couldn't even do angled surfaces yet. They were just like, they could do it horizontally angled, but I'm not sure you could have like a vertically angled surface, like a slope upwards. Like severe limitations. Like the Doom engine can't even handle floors on top of each other.
No.
Everything had to be, which made the map nice and easy.
Yeah. Was there even Dark Forces that started doing floors on top of other floors? It was like super quite advanced tech.
Yeah.
For the time. Right, that's the news.
I think it is.
Da, 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 da. It's time for what you've been playing.
Oh, and Prey came out. If anyone cares,
Do we care? It might be good.
I don't know if I should.
They made it into a horror game, and that immediately means that I don't care.
Yeah, I guess it is. It is an interest. It's a sort of a horror game, sort of a shooter, and
Well, there's Dead Space that exists.
kinda.
I mean, Dead Space moved away from being a horror game pretty rapidly after the first one.
But then it's got this psychological vibe to it, thanks to that first trailer.
Well, there was also Fear.
I guess, yeah. And I didn't particularly get on with Fear.
No.
I liked its combat because it was bullet time combat.
Well, yeah.
yeah.
It had a cool mechanic, but it was also a horror game.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we don't care about Prey. Moving on.
Cool. What you been playing? Rob, what you been playing?
Oh boy, let's think where to start. Let's start with what I talked about last time, I guess. Let's get those out of the way. I finished Enslaved, Odyssey to the West.
Oh, cool.
I got to the end of that. It's like I was saying before, it's a pretty neat package. But again, just backing up what I said before, even by the end of the game, I don't think it really hit the heights that it needed to. I don't think it ever quite found its stride in a weird way. Like, spoiler territory, I guess, a little bit, but the plot never feels like it makes 100% sense at any point during the story.
Right. So it's not like you're in suspense and then you find out something and then... No,
so there is a sort of interesting thing at the end of the game that sort of hints at the what I thought were fourth wall breaking moments earlier on, but they're not. They're in-world things, but they're it doesn't. It sort of just happens. It's not really relevant to your journey, if you know what I mean. You just sort of get to a place and it's a thing, and it does in theory explain some of what is going on in the world, but not really. Do you want to go deep on this? I suppose it's like a 10-year-old game or whatever, like super old. It's like we can dig in if you want.
Yeah,
right.
as well.
So, general main plot of the game is that, and this is where you start. You start on a slave ship, right? And you're breaking free of this of being enslaved by slavers, of which you never actually see. You never see the slavers over the course of the game, with one notable exception that I'll come to later. So you never see the slavers. And all you see is mechs throughout the entire game. You're fighting these sort of fairly jagged-looking, nasty bits of metal, and they're coming at you. And for some reason, they seem to be stealing humans and taking them away somewhere, and no one really knows why. And there are bits of the storyline where your characters just sort of brush it off and be like, so you'll get asked, "Oh, why do they do this?" And you'll be like, "It's all they know," like as if it's just the world you grew up in. It's just the thing that happens. And it's no one really questions it in a strange way, and that goes on for a really long time. There's like the whole last act, you meet a third human, effectively, who's not dead, and the whole tone of the game changes, and it becomes a bit more. He's like the comic relief, except kind of in a weird way. The character's called Pigsy because he looks a bit like a fat pig, but he's also sort of like a mechanist of a scrapyard, so you need his help, and you got to work your way into his base, and then he's a thing, but he's also a pig in practically every aspect. He tries to hit on your companion and things like that, and puts you in dangerous scenarios to try and get you out of the picture so he can make his moves on trip, and things like that. It's all a bit weird and sort of strangely juxtaposed against the first half of the game, where it's like, oh, this is all very serious. It's all very there's a story forming here, and it's like, nope, comic relief time. And that actually sort of somewhat plays out all the way to the end of the game. And I don't really, you sort of just make a decision. It's like, oh, we're going to go, so middle point of the game, you go to Trip's hometown and find that everyone's dead and has been enslaved, including her dad. Daddy issues. And then she just goes like, I'm sorry, I can't. I know I said I'd free you, monkey, when we got to this point, but I can't. I need revenge, basically. So the entire rest of the game becomes, we're going to go do bad things to the slavers. But you sort of just do and don't really question it. You know, you go to this thing, you end up at this place called Pyramid. You fight a load of massive giant mechs to get there, and then end game twist is that Andy Serkis pretty much has been enslaving people in order to bring them into a virtual world that he's created that represents the world before the apocalypse. So he's freeing them to live a better life inside this machine,
right? Okay,
called Pyramid that he's made, and Trip takes offense at this, kills the dude. Everyone wakes up, the end, and it ends on the line, "Have I made the right decision?"
Okay.
And that's kind of it. There is no extrapolation at this point. There's no, like, you've just gone to a thing.
Well,
so that my mind immediately starts... Well, but yeah, it sort of just asks so many questions. If this pyramid was supposed to be benevolent, why is his method so violent?
Right, to get people,
Are the mechs... Because the mechs appear to be, the slaver mechs at least, seem to be sort of working for him, or there's a lot of murder going on. It's never really clear whether it's him that's controlling all the mechs that do all the murdering, but it sort of is implied towards the end of the game thanks to the fights you're having, but then it's just all a bit of a mess. So, and the bit I alluded to earlier, like the notable exception to you never really seeing a human other than the mechs and things like that, is right at the start of the game, where one of the people on the ship that seems to be like, or several of the people I think on the ship that seem to be actually running the ship, there's a guy basically. There's a human, the only other human I think you meet in the game, and he reluctantly helps Monkey, and then his headband kills him because he's broken the rules. He's been, the computer detects that he's assisting something, and he's like, "You must be punished," and gets killed. And it's like, this doesn't seem very benevolent to me. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit of a tonal mess.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's like you could just in that premise. There's like lots of scope for plot holes and things.
And it falls into all of them pretty much. Which is a real shame, because I actually think it's produced quite well, and actually, like, gameplay quirks aside that I talked about last time, it's the Ninja Theory style really comes out here. But they just didn't quite land what they were going for. I don't think it does. It does turn out that apparently this was planned to have a sequel, but because the game didn't sell very well when it came out, Namco pulled the plug very early on.
Oh, really?
And so it never got made. So there was going to be more to this,
or something.
There is, which I've also played.
Okay.
But that's a very different thing, and it's really interesting in itself. So it follows a couple of days in the life of Pigsy on the scrap heap on his own, getting bored and lonely, and trying to build himself a buddy, as he keeps referring to, who he eventually calls the Perfect 10, because he tries to make a sexy robot lady, of course. But it's all very, it plays completely differently, because you're not playing as Monkey, you're playing as Pigsy. So you've got guns and you've got devices, and it's a bit more stealthy. Like, you've got to try and distract people in a certain way so you can get past, or like trigger a certain sequence of events so you can kill them all and survive. And it's actually quite well constructed again. Like, the idea is it's not that long. It's like a 2-hour, 3-hour thing. So you don't get a great deal of mechanics, but but they're well realized enough that you use them all, and it doesn't outstay its welcome. And it's quite an interesting. It's sort of a bold bit of DLC, to be honest, because it's not the main game. It's like they changed it completely within its world, and it's really interesting. It's just interesting that they did it. Even the storytelling takes a more casual edge, and like there's like blues guitar playing, or sort of rednecky guitar playing, I guess.
Right, it's just a different tone.
Yeah, completely. It's just a real interesting thing to put in the game. Just cool. Very different thing.
But it doesn't.
I kind of wish that happened more.
Yeah, but it doesn't help with the main game story-wise.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's just sort of an expansion on Pigsy's character, I guess, and it's it's a real, just a massively interesting addition to a flawed but could have been good game. Given if that maybe the sequel would have been where they nailed it. But then Ninja Theory then went on to make DMC, where I guess everything they learnt from Enslaved came together. Because DMC is excellent.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm glad I played it. Real interesting.
Yeah.
I've been playing a
do
lot
we know
more
what they're
Aaero.
working along? These days,
we do. They are working on. What's it called? Hellblade.
Oh, right.
Which is sort of being. It looks a lot like a spiritual successor to Heavenly Sword, which was also them. So they made Heavenly Sword before they made Enslaved, and then they made DMC, and Hellblade is their new thing, and it's following that same path. And I don't know a great deal about it, other than it's also a character action game, but with a bit like Heavenly Sword, there's a slant towards some form of mental illness being addressed in the game. Like I can't remember if it's your character or you're working with a character who has some kind of mental disability, and they're trying to hang their story on that, which is, again, fairly bold. So I am interested, but I just don't know a lot about it, and I don't think they've actually released a great deal of info about it up until now.
Okay, we'll see.
I think we first heard of it a good couple years ago at E3, so it can't be far off. I expect we'll see more of that at this year's E3, potentially. But I think that might be a Sony joint as well. I'm not sure. I think it showed at like PlayStation prior, so whether or not Sony actually have their hands on it, or if it's a third-party published thing, I'm not sure. So yeah, Hellblade. We'll keep our eyes on that. The other thing I've been playing was Aaero.
Yep.
Which we talked about last time as well.
More beats, more hardcore tunes. I've gone through the advanced mode on it now, and that was harder because it did throw in more enemies, and you do have to get to grips with some of its more unexplained mechanics. So the shooting sections that it had, the res style shooting sections. Its main difference between those games and between itself and res, I guess, is that shooting is a manually activated thing as opposed to the lock-on and release to fire system of res. That doesn't make a great deal of difference, other than the when you shoot is actually important. Yeah,
you've got to try and time your shot, but the timing for the shot is a bit odd, and it's not quite. I would like it to have been like you push the shot button on a clearly defined beat.
Yeah.
But how it actually works is you're better off firing the shot slightly before the beat to guarantee that you don't miss it. Because if you fire slightly
on the beat, you're trying to like get the
as close to as
on the beat,
as close to as possible. But if you're even slightly out, like your shot will take a longer arc and wait until it land, and it'll land at the next major beat. But the problem is you can't line up the next shot while your shot is in flight.
Because you're waiting.
Because you're waiting for it, yeah.
That's
it's all right. It works, but I wish the timing was way more lenient on it. Because obviously with TV latency and things, it's a little problematic. If I'm playing it over my full-on rig as opposed to on my low latency computer monitor, stuff like that. And I'd want to be playing it on the sound system for the bigger sound, for the bigger bass. And it's a tricky mechanic to get used to, but you do get used to it. It's an interesting one because it does mean you get, once you start picking that up and you start getting better and you start figuring out, you realize that actually, there are methods of getting better score. Like some of the more efficient shot types actually score a little better, or you can just shoot more targets to get more score that way. So that there is a reason to do it as well as just keeping yourself alive. It's like you're going for the high scores, of which I seem to be doing pretty well. Like I'm quite high on a lot of the leaderboards, so that's nice. I'm also not convinced that game has sold very well, though. Because in the Master Mode leaderboards, I'm like 4 levels in or something, and only 29 people have completed it.
Oh dear.
29.
So you're like a world champion at this game.
Well, I'm like 3rd on most of the mastered leaderboards right now. So it's like all the master leaderboards I've played thus far, and it's yeah. So that's a real shame, because by my estimate, that means they've probably only sold about 5,000 copies that people have actually then booted. They may have sold more than that, but number of people that have actually started the game. I'm basing that on the Steam achievement ratings, right? So it's like 1.5.
Yeah.
By the point I've got to the game, there's like 1.5% of people have got the achievement at this point, and if there's only 29 people in the list, extrapolate that out, and you get about 4,500. That game deserves way more attention if that's true.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
It's really good, really good. Despite my reservations about the shop mechanic we talked about, it is a good fun time. You should play it.
Not really important in the grand scheme.
No, just enjoy some bass music. It has got a chill out mode where you don't die. So if you want to just try and play a rhythm game and listen to some good music, the soundtrack's really great. By the way, if you're into that sort of stuff, it's a pretty brilliant selection.
I noticed on the Switch that the Thumper is coming to the Switch.
Yeah, I saw that.
For some reason.
Because why not? I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Thumper's great too. Aaero would work on Switch. But they haven't even. I don't think they've even announced that there's any console version of that yet. I think it's Steam only right now. You'd think they'd put a console version out. It would fit. Yeah. So there's that. I fell down the anti-gravity racing hole again. Playing quite a bit of F-Zero GX.
The classic.
Yeah.
The game of yours for anti-grav.
Pretty much. It is still top tier. Top tier anti-grav.
So, Dolphin emulator? Or?
Yeah, I'm running that on Dolphin 5. It's still not perfect, is what I would say. It still has a couple of problems on the more graphically demanding tracks, like the heat haze on the sand ocean in particular can cause a little bit of trouble. But it's totally playable, and the resolution jump is really nice. Like it holds up. It's still a pretty good looking game. Still plays well. I've said all this before. Play F-Zero. But then I also checked out, that got me playing a bit more Redout, because I realised I haven't finished that, so I played a bit more of that. Again, same rules apply, I've talked about that before, blah, 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 blah. I played some Wipeout Pure, though.
Oh, I love that game.
It's way better than I remember it, actually.
It's so good. That game was fucking great. Anyway, yeah, so on your on PSP?
I played a little bit on PSP, and then following, I think we had a discussion. I don't know if we had it on air or not. I checked out PPSSPP.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Which is the PSP emulator, and which seems perfect.
It's pretty great.
I haven't had a single problem running that emulator, and it's dead on. And not only that, but boy, are there some real conveniences to emulating the PSP. Because this seemed totally obvious to me now, but I didn't realize this thinking about it, because we had a discussion about whether or not you could get all the DLC tracks for Wipeout Pure that were put out for free,
which was half the game ultimately.
Yeah, way more than they almost more than doubled the content for free for that game, thanks to sponsorship deals from Puma and some artists. I think some artists got involved for some of the weirder tracks, and
it's cool.
It was an awesome thing, and. It turns out you can get that stuff, but I didn't have to find it because of the way the memory stick structure was organized on PSP. They're just FAT32 devices.
Right.
So, and the emulator works using all the same formats. So you just copy-paste off my PSP.
Oh, you just copy-paste the files off your PSP? Sweet.
And it totally works. And I have all my save data for every game I ever played on the PSP
Amazing.
in the emulator. It's amazing. It's the best. It all just works. It's great. Highly recommended if you want to revisit your PSP games. Like doing it that way is a pretty good route.
And so Wipeout Pure itself.
Wipeout Pure itself holds up. It really does. It's slower than I remember. Because admittedly, apparently I never unlocked Rapier. Because there were so many tracks, I think, by the time I had all the DLC that I was just trying to gold medal all of the... Because it forces you to basically gold medal every track at every speed. To the point where I never actually played the championship I needed to unlock Rapier and then Phantom. So what is it? No, it's not. What's the third level? Flash, I think.
Yeah.
So I've been playing it at Flash speed, and it is quite a lot slower. Like I said, than like any of the other AG races I play, but it's still a good time. Quite a good music, a good music soundtrack. So, it's a Wipeout game, so it holds up. It holds up pretty good. I might go visit Wipeout Pulse as well, which I've got a copy of, and that'll be interesting because I think there was a very significant handling jump between those two games. And I remember playing Pulse and having a hard time going back to Pure at the time. Right, it's been long enough that I don't seem to notice right now. Playing Pure is fine, but good ass game.
I mean, that was the first one that invented the absorb power up mechanic or whatever, which I think really adds to Wipeout rather than because previous games had kind of
I think
lanes,
you're right.
Recharge lanes or whatever, pit lanes, which never really worked.
I think even that might have been true even in Wipeout 3. 3's the one I can't remember worked that well. Even though I played a great deal of that game, I can't remember if that was still pit lane based or if they had absorbed then. I knew they had drop, but I don't know if it had the absorb thing. They also introduced the barrel roll, didn't they, in Pure?
Yeah, I mean that's
cool.
quite hard to pull off.
Yeah, but it's still cool. It
cool.
Gets easier in the faster levels, bizarrely, because you'll be in the air longer, and you pull off the barrel roll, which you might not actually want to do because you go
then
super
get
fast
boost
into a corner.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm having a pretty good time with that. I also on the emulation front while I was there, I fired up Lumines 2 because we talked about that relatively recently.
Yeah.
That holds up. That doesn't emulate quite as well because clearly all those graphics were sprites,
right?
So they don't res up, if you know what I mean. You're having to play it at the pixely resolution of the PSP,
right? Not like
on the emulator
game, right?
No. But it was just cool going through the licensed tracks. I basically put a playlist together of just the licensed music in that game, and that was a good time. The video quality in the background is super terrible, but no, whatever. Lumines 2, good game. Very nearly died, but then got better. And that's basically what I've been doing. Played a little bit of Rush 2049 after having a bit of a weekend playing N64 games. At one point, it's like, oh yeah, Rush was okay. Maybe I should start playing that on an emulator so we can play it in slightly higher resolution. And
are you going to do a video of that? Probably should.
I think we should at some point. The question is which version though? Do you go to the Dreamcast route or do you go the N64 route? They're kind of the same but different. Like the Dreamcast version has different music, and I think it actually has a slightly different feature set to the N64 version. I'm not sure if the Dreamcast version, because I never got that far in it, whether that actually has some of the modes, like whether or not the battle mode is actually in the Dreamcast one. It had a full-on car combat mode in the N64. Well, I say full-on. It was multiplayer only, but it was there.
It was weird.
It was weird, but we played quite a lot of it.
Well, not really that bit of it though.
Oh no, I played quite a lot of that weirdly at school.
Yeah.
When I used to bring my N64 and we used to play the car combat mode was way more popular than the stunt mode at school, so we played that. But of course, none of those things were as popular as Mario Tennis, which I also played.
That's still my favourite local multiplayer game, I think.
It did go down a storm. It really did. You know, I played it with 3 people who had never played any of the Mario Tennis games, and it was like, yeah, no, this is really good.
It's brills.
If they had played any of the other Mario Tennis games, they would have discovered that this one was better.
True. Yeah, well, I kind of still actually want to give. I know I say this every time we talk about Mario Tennis, but I never really gave the GameCube one a chance. I never really played it, so I kind of do want to, having had a reasonably fresh experience with both that and with the N64 one, to play your copy of the GameCube one that I have right now, Dan, and see if it really does feel different, or if the bits of presentation screwed it up, if you know what I mean. If maybe it was just there's a feel thing in how it looks as opposed to a feel thing to how it controls. I really don't know.
Everyone knows the number one problem with that was then they started introducing superpowers, and that just ruins tennis.
Oh, sure, but you can turn those off.
Superpower move. Yeah. What was Waluigi's one where it turned into a swimming pool and he swam to the ball and then smashed it? Obviously, that makes sense. Oh, God. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, find out if I'm pretty sure it's a feel thing and not just a stupid stuff thing that needs turning off.
Right. Yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll see what happens. Yeah, sorry, I've been rambling for quite a long time, but that's what I've been doing. Just bits and bobs here and there. I haven't got, which means I haven't really got a game on the go right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sort of drifting about, and so I think that will maintain for another week, because I'm not going to get much time to play games over the next week. So it's you'll hear a lot less of me next podcast.
Yeah. Depends what happens the week after.
Well, yeah, Zach has teased that he might lend me his Switch now that he's finished Zelda.
Oh, really? Okay. What, to play Zelda, I guess?
To play Zelda, yeah.
Bloody hell. Okay. I better carry it. Anyway, Zeg, what have you been playing?
Well, I played all kinds of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff. I played basically every DS game because
basically every DS game ever made.
No, that I have. After I finished Advance Wars Dual Strike's campaign, then I was like, well, I might as well put in the other one, play some of that.
Oh, crap, I totally forgot about a game I played.
Of course you did.
We'll come back to it, you go first.
So I played some of Dark Conflict, or whatever the fuck it's called. I always forget which one's which. I think Dark Conflict is the
that's the latest one,
right.
Yeah, the metal one.
Yeah, but I mean whether it's the European name or the American name.
Oh,
I think Dark Conflict is the European one. Days of Ruin is the other one.
Yeah, that's right.
So I played some of that. Like, I played it up. Well, I played it basically up to the mission where it's like the first 2/3 of the campaign are just like normal generic war. Like, the whole planet has been fucked up with meteors, but you're still in a war. Like, the remaining militaries just can't let it go, and they just have to continue fighting each other. And it's like, oh, that's fine, that makes sense. But then but
aren't your guys like the ones that are just doing it because they kind of have to?
Pretty much everyone is just a dick that's not you. Like, your guys are like the Independent Legion, and they're like, we're gonna go around and help people, and then all the other factions, the actual remains of the nations, are just dicks and just like fighting.
Yeah, so you're like you fight because you have to, not
and
because
then you get dragged into it.
Yeah.
But then, like, the last third of the game is where, like, the secret plot is revealed, where, like, the goddamn independent military contractor has been secretly controlling all the wars from the background and giving people, like, secret advanced weaponry and unleashing viruses to kill people and force people into fighting over resources. And, like, it just gets dumb, and also the actual missions get kind of bad after that point as well.
Is this one of those games that has like death flowers or something?
Yeah, flowers. I don't actually remember what specifically. I think those were just made to be like to make people fight over resources because they want to get cured,
right?
Basically, But yeah, it's done. And then the last mission, I haven't got to it again, but from what I remember, the last mission was fucking impossible.
It's like a giant base. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's always a giant base. That's generally how Advance Wars ends. But yeah, that last mission was complete bullshit. I don't remember exactly why. I think it had some
giant death laser.
Yeah, I think it had some kind of. I don't know if it was like a death laser because, like in previous games, it's normally like easy to deal with that kind of thing. I think it was a death laser that was like targeted, so it'd like actually pick out your unit specifically rather than just having a general area that it shot at.
No, right.
Which just makes it fucking ridiculous to try and deal with. So yeah, I didn't get that far though. I played it up to the point where it's like, oh, here comes the dumb twist in the story. Now I'm going to stop.
Now I know what's going on. I'm not going to play again.
Yes.
So wait, the bad guy just likes fighting. Is that the plot?
As far as I remember, like his actual story. I mean, he was like an independent military contractor, so I guess he made a lot of money from people fighting. Did it end on a pretty big cliffhanger? Not really. No. Like you win, and then you just settle down and start rebuilding the world gradually.
No. I thought there was a lingering thing like that made me. I don't know. In my head, I think I've got this thought. It's like I thought they were going to make a sequel to this.
Probably, but not that directly. So yeah, I played that, and then I played most of the other DS games I had, like Meteos and Sonic Rush Adventure, and then I started playing Golden Sun Dark Dawn to remind myself why it's not as good as the old games.
Well, we did watch a video of that, didn't we? Just because we were talking about Golden Sun at one point, and it was like, oh, why was the DS one not as well received? And...
Well, I don't remember when that was. I think we also watched a video about where's the next one.
Yeah,
why hasn't there been a new one?
Well, that was partly because that was the video, because it was in the context of that the third one killed it.
I don't know if that was exactly what they said, but I don't know. But the third one, like, I was trying to figure out one of the things that bothers me about the first thing that is obviously the most important thing is the main battle theme isn't as good.
Yeah, because the main theme is awesome.
All you need is the fight music. That's like the most important.
It's the most important thing of any RPG of that style.
Yeah, because you're going to hear it constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, Golden Sun 2's one wasn't as good as one either, but it was in a similar style because obviously it was a very direct sequel. They would have put those games on one cart if they could have, but they didn't because they couldn't. So the main battle theme isn't as good. But then, like the thing that I actually realised that is weirder, that makes it like kind of seem worse, is now that in Dark Dawn, where it's now an actual 3D game with 3D graphics, not actual 3D. It's not a 3DS game.
I was about to say, is this DS or I guess it would have normal DS,
regular DS, 3D graphics. Now that it's not pixel art, it falls into the trap of being like B-tier animation, where it's like it feels kind of like the animations feel kind of like stodgy and like not like the motions aren't very well defined. Like when your character like jumps into their attack in the way that Golden Sun does their battle scenes. It's like in the pixel art, like the attack animations were almost just like 2 frames.
Yeah, they were.
It was like,
but it was stylized because of the way they moved, like the sprite around
and effects.
Fairly fancy effects for the GBA.
Yeah, but like, so that made it feel like quite impactful, like if the fighting. Whereas now you've got like when your character's jumping in, it's like the animation is too smooth. It like all runs at exactly the same frame rate through the whole motion, but that it shouldn't. It should be more abrupt than as you jump forward.
It loses the moment where the sword is supposed to have struck.
Yeah.
Right.
So it just kind of feels kind of like B-tier crappy.
In a weird way,
2000s.
Like the low frame rate of FF7 like actually solved that problem. In a weird way, like because they went 3D and they didn't have to animate things, like. But weirdly, because it was like 15 frames or something. Like you still got that impact moment. Like it's weird.
Kinda.
In fact, I think all of the FF games on PlayStation ran at 15 frames during battles.
I mean, you could say like FF8 started to drift into that slow, like the kind.
Oh, sure. I guess
its Gunblade thing did. I guess in FF8 it kind of just felt heavy.
Yeah,
where he was like,
yeah. He just sort of lumped it on someone.
Yeah, it wasn't so much of a slash.
And then you made it explode,
Yeah.
which like helped, I guess. But then, like, you know, Renoa's weapon was always that was a no impact weapon, wasn't it? Because it just sort of flew into them. It was like, Pah.
It was like Yuppie's thing.
Yeah, I guess.
So yeah, I played some of that. Maybe I'll continue playing that. I mean, I guess I started. And yeah, so I played all those other DS games. And then other than that, I randomly went and played some more Cargo Commander because I thought about that for a moment.
Oh, really?
And then just I reset the save file and was like, let's just start over and go through the progression, such as it is. It's not really that much of a progression. You're still just making a random set of levels and then trying to get through the randomly generated layout. And because I was feeling lazy, I just decided that I'll just generate the levels just from the alphabet. I'll just go through alphabetical order.
Oh, this is A.
Yeah. This is
Well,
A.
just a single character as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
And, you know, it's quite a lot of other people did that because the scoreboards for those levels are relatively full.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, played a reasonable amount of that. Didn't really finish it. Because, like, the actual progression the progression of that game is just like, it just makes it slightly easier. Like, you start with unlocks, basically, as you rank up. So you don't have to buy so many of the upgrades per day. So, you know, it's all right as a progression method, I suppose. And then I also did a thing that I had been introduced after the first time I played it, I guess, and I had seen it before, but in one of the subsequent times I've been back to this game but not really played that much, where they made the weekly struggle, where it's like, you know, weekly scoreboards or whatever. But what it actually does, which it doesn't tell you directly, is like it generates the level based on the date. Like it uses the date as the seed for the level generation.
Oh, interesting. Right. So you could just predict what's coming next?
Well, not quite though, because the weekly struggle mode is in journey mode, which is different from the main game.
Right.
The main
so
game,
you couldn't just type the seed in and practice it before it happened.
I don't think so. Unless journey mode lets you type seeds, I don't know if it does. I think it might actually. I guess that would make sense. But yeah, journey mode is slightly different from the way the campaign works, because you inevitably die in journey mode.
Right. It's like an endless mode.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, the weekly struggle, and that was quite funny to look at the weekly struggle because it lists all the weeks that have happened. So you can just scroll through the list and be like, "Wow, this started in 2013, and here's every week since then, and there's a scoreboard for all of them, and you can go back and play any of them if you want."
Does it add to that scoreboard?
I don't know if it. I don't know if it
not
does
now.
if you go back. Yeah,
weekly struggle.
but yeah, that's pretty ridiculous to see how long that had been going on, and how it's still functioning. Whatever, like, server that's running that stuff at some point, they're still running somewhere.
Might you turn it off?
So yeah, there was that. And I played a whole bunch of Factorio, as has been evidenced by me uploading videos to our YouTube channel of Factorio.
Yeah, that was an interesting turn in the Happy Salad history. Zach actually made some videos on his own.
Yeah,
because I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
like I will be I'd like there's no getting around it. I didn't want to make those videos, so I'm glad Zach did because they're so long.
Yeah, check them out. A game so boring that you have to do most of the footage in fast forward mode.
Not boring. It's long.
Yeah,
to watch. I mean,
it's just
obviously it's not boring to play. It's just quite boring to watch, especially in real time.
It's about decision, about like planning.
Mm.
The bits that are boring to watch are the bits where I'm sitting there thinking, and that's mostly where it happens during the sped up.
Right, yeah.
You can definitely see during some of the sped up sections where like, the game's just paused, or I'm just looking at the grid, or I'm just standing in one place pointing my mouse cursor at various things and trying to visualize a layout. Not too much though. I think I've more or less kept that under control, and not in the real-time segments so much.
Still, content. I'm happy it's there.
Visualize.
Well, yeah, but it's like cool. Maybe a bit of a flood of content. That's the trouble. You'll need to continue to upload the normal videos at the normal times.
I know. I actually, it's inconvenient you took this up because it's just not been very convenient for me to do it of late.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So this one time is fine, but subsequently we'll still need normal videos interspersing because I've already recorded like another, I don't know, 13 episodes or something.
What?
I don't even know.
Wow. Well, okay. Great deal.
I know they're adding like HD or whatever, or higher resolution red textures or whatever, double resolution, are they, or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not Dwarf Fortress, but it's not like the most like, you know, it's very functional, isn't it? It's not the most visually appealing thing to just look at when you're not. It's more about
Even audio is pretty simple, isn't it?
yeah, but it's just
Can't be
a
that
bit-
complicated. It's still only just sprites.
it's a bit
It's
sort
only
of
a bit
brown.
that.
Isn't it? We were talking about this earlier, but yeah,
It's not that brown. I mean,
brownie planet.
the bits of the grass is kind of brown, I guess. The grasslands are kind of brown where they could be slightly more green, maybe.
Brown
I think it was more green in an earlier version, one of the even older updates before they changed some of those graphics. But it's not meant to be green. And even if it was green, you're meant to make it brown. It's all pollution.
Pollute
Kill off all the
everything.
trees. I mean, that would be cool if they made it so that the grass actually changed colour as well. Because the trees die off when they're exposed to the pollution, and they also absorb the pollution. So you can see that if you've got a forest next to your base. If the actual trade colour changed as well, that would be interesting. Although don't do it like city skylines, where pollution is purple for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, it's like when. Because you remember, like in I guess SimCity, one of them had pollution.
4?
I guess 4 had it, right?
I think.
It
Well, actually, all of them didn't they model it in some way?
well, no, I don't mean they modelled it. I mean it visualised it.
oh right.
It like made it brown.
Yeah,
around the
I think
industrial
4 did
zones.
do that. Yeah.
But in Skylines, for some reason, they decided to make that purple. So, like, the ground in the pollution area around the industry just turns, like, vaguely purple.
Weird.
It's like, and of course, you can just mod that. There's a mod to fix that. Make it not purple.
I guess it's easier to see.
Yeah, I guess. But it does look kind of strange. So, yeah, that made a ton of content, theoretical content for Factorio.
Maybe I don't want those backups. It says 13 of them.
Yep, there's a lot of them.
Jeez.
And, you know, the trouble that I thought about it was like, I could upload these pretty quickly. And it's like, I want to upload them while they're relevant, because, you know, 0.15 just came out and people are going to be looking for it online.
I guess, yeah.
So I want to upload them while they're relevant, but I also don't want to entirely spam our channel to death with it. But then maybe it would be better if I did, like, do it in one big chunk really quickly.
Maybe.
Yes.
But then I actually also have to go through the process of exporting the videos, which takes
Or
it's an overnight job. So
Or perhaps find
I
a
can
way
still
of,
only theoretically manage one a day.
or perhaps find another way of editing the videos down. Maybe speeding them up isn't the solution.
Well, the trouble is, I've already recorded.
Production meeting.
I've already recorded them. I decided on a logical format that broke up the videos into manageable chunks for editing purposes, and also made it so that I could keep a track of how long I was recording for. Where I basically record 3 hours of footage and talk for the first half hour and the last half hour.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
That seems to work.
Hmm.
So how many chunks, 3-hour chunks are there?
Yeah, 3 hour, split the video into 3 hour segments, because I've also, when I'm recording with ABS, it just has the timer on the bottom of the window, so I can see how long I've been recording for. Once that goes over an hour, I know it's time to break the video.
You go behind the scenes at Happy Salad.
Yep. My hard disk is now full. I've recorded so much about that Factorio.
Oh, that is the problem with this stuff. Data. I was thinking of just knocking one out for Aaero, but I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
Because that's the sort of game where I don't think you'd be that interested in doing a video, because it's a music game. Like, you don't want to really talk over it too much.
Well, that is the actual problem with music games.
Yeah.
We did make a video of audio serve.
Oh, yeah. But we used my music, so
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
fine. And, you know, yeah, it'll be licensed to hell, this, presumably, any video about Aaero. So.
Yeah. So there's that. And I haven't managed to play in a Rocket League tournament yet.
Oh,
But apparently that is actually going to happen now. It's
Alright.
been reposted
and you're
with
in.
the team selections. And so, but also the two people I'm on the team with, I haven't seen them online for like a week.
Right.
Don't know what happened there. They just seem to vanish at a certain point.
I didn't like the team, so they've moved.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what actually happens with that. I have still been playing Rocket League in general, of course. Trying to get out of not really Lemon Town any longer. I think it's moved from just pure lemons to like lemon flavouring. Occasional lemons.
You're in the lemon drizzle cake now.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it's been really annoying because like I feel like I should be higher than this if like the rank conversion compared to last season or whatever. Like I'm only in Platinum 1 and like I'm struggling to stay in Platinum 1 thanks to the occasional lemon flavouring. But I feel like I should be higher than that. And also like in casual, the secret rank of casual, it's like I'm still seeing way too many of the grand champions and teams of 3 people who are trying to do all fancy shit, which, you know, sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Sometimes you get people who can do it and they'll destroy you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get people who are trying to do it and they suck and they just leave their goal completely exposed all the time because they're all trying to do fancy freestyle aerials and you're just like, and just hit it down the field.
And they're doing it in ranked for some reason.
Well, not in
while
ranked.
they learn it.
Not in ranked, that's in casual.
Okay. That's in cash.
Because I'm playing in solo rank, so you don't get teams.
Right, sure. But then surely they're more likely to all do the crazy stuff at once if it's solo.
Well, then they know not to try it.
I guess.
They know that they need to actually. They don't. Well, it's because of the fancy stuff that teams try and do is passes. Basically, they're trying to do aerial passes to each other, so they'll all be flying up to different positions where they think they're going to hit the ball to, which is fancy if they do it, but doesn't. It's bad times for them if they miss.
That's really very fancy.
So yeah, there's that. I don't really remember anything else. I think there may have been some more things.
Tell you what, the bit I missed on the multiplayer front, the reason why I didn't play Rocket League this week was because I got drawn into Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing a MOBA. And Heroes of the Storm is a MOBA-ass MOBA, but it's not nearly as complicated as Dota or League of Legends. They've simplified it a bit. There's no items, for instance. You just get your... It's actually, the leveling structure is pretty much awesome builds, which is nice. But Heroes of the Storm does a few things differently to the other MOBAs. They, your team gets XP equally, so your team levels up as a whole rather than individuals needing to level. So that means you can have very specific role. The character, like the heroes, can have more specific roles for specific jobs. Like there are heroes that are basically just dedicated to minions farming, or not really dedicated, but they're very, very effective against minions. Like either the creep or the camps you can hire to get extra guys, extra strong creep, basically. They're super effective against them, so that becomes a possibility. It also means playing as a pure healing class. That could be your one job for the entire match, for instance. You don't have to then go and try and farm for yourself. It does it cements those roles even more than it would do, I guess, in the others. Not that I know much about the others, in fairness. I'm theorizing here. But boy, as I say, MOBAs are hard. Like it's just gotta be. It's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. It's hard to see what's happening to yourself, let alone everyone else in the team. It's hard to control. My concerns about the RTS control scheme, they're real true for me. I would have way preferred it if it was some kind of direct control scheme somehow. Like if I could play it on a gamepad, because it's not like you have many abilities in Heroes of the Storm. You get like 4 really you can access at any one time. You get your 3 mains and your heroic that you get later, and you might need the ability to pull up your horse, or you might need the ability to go home, and that's pretty much it, right? Those are the controls. So it could have been mapped to a direct control scheme, probably quite easily. And it probably would have played better for it, I think. For my tastes. I think the whole mouse click control scheme is problematic. I suppose it lets you do targeting, I guess, a bit easier than it would if you didn't. Like, some abilities you fire, and then you have to click on an ally, for instance, to say, no, you're getting this. But in the heat of a battle, that's quite tricky to pull off because you don't know quite where they're moving. Everyone has to keep moving, and it's
Everything's on the march.
I don't know. I'm not totally sold on it. It seems well put together because Blizzard. But equally, it doesn't seem as well put together as something like Overwatch. Like, there's something about the level of quality I see in Overwatch sort of outstrips pretty much anything else everywhere. Like
the level of polish.
Yeah. And even in Heroes of the Storm, I don't get that same feel. Probably just because of the nature of the game, I guess. It's those things always just do end up looking a bit of a mess. But it's okay, is what I would say, and it's free at the moment. And you get because they're technically calling it Heroes of the Storm 2.0 right now. If you play the tutorial stuff, you get 20 of the heroes for free. Because it's a free to play model, but unlike Dota and League, where you get all of the characters up front. No, wait, Dota's the one where you get all of the characters up front, and then League's the same, I think, where you pay for the heroes you want. Heroes follows that latter model, where it's like you pay for the heroes you want, but they're basically, as I say, giving away a large chunk of them right now for new players. So that's why we went in, and there's also a skin for Overwatch that you can only get by playing Heroes of the Storm.
Naturally.
So that's why we're doing it. It's all right. I'm having an okay time, but as I did vocally say to all the people in the room at the time that I was playing with, it's just I think I'd rather be playing Overwatch.
Just a general feeling.
Yeah. Although I am generally play as Lucio in Heroes. So, I kind of know how to play him. The analog is there, actually.
Right,
They've done a pretty good job of making Lucio play like Lucio.
That's quite funny.
And the same goes for Zarya, although she's really, really hard. She's in Heroes compared to Overwatch. And I haven't got Tracer, so I haven't tried her out. But and I haven't got Genji either, but he seems to behave quite like how he does in Overwatch as well, as in he's an arse. But yeah, interesting game. I also like the fact that they don't do the MOBA thing of just having one map. There's quite a few maps, and they all have different strategies. Like there's different ways to be good at a map, for instance, and I like that. There's a bit more variety to it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
add something. Yeah,
cool thing. Maybe it's your thing, but I'm not sure it's my thing.
MOBAs.
Maybe you should play it because it's free. We could try it. It's free.
You never even got into Dota though.
No, because Dota is just a wall of hurt.
Yeah, it's a wall of pain.
I know I've probably quoted this a million times before, but I tried to read a really in-depth guide to how you should start playing Dota at one point when it was at its. I suppose it was. I guess it was at its peak. I don't really hear about it too much now, but yeah. And the opening sentence was, the first 100 hours are going to suck.
Right.
And I'm like, nope, not committing to that.
No, I don't want 100 sucky hours.
It's got to be fun from the start, sorry.
Yeah. It's a game. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. You done then, Rob? Or?
Yeah, sorry, I'm extra done.
You've done part 2.
Okay. Is it time for the Zelda talk?
Yeah, that's what I've been playing. Just a bit more Zelda, but not in tons. Like, it's going to take me a while to catch up with Zeg's finish date, especially since he seems to have combed the map and pretty much gathered everything. What I've been doing is going around the areas I already know, trying to find more shrines and things and bits that I've missed, side quests and stuff. It's done quite a lot of side quests recently, and found a few that I need to figure out how to do. Even there's a couple of shrine quests and quite a few just standard side quests that I need to figure out. So yeah, and trying to go over areas of the map that don't seem to have that much. That I've already unveiled the map for with the towers, but don't seem to obviously have that much there, because you do find stuff. Although there are bits, even though most of the map has interest, there are bits that are much more barren than others, right?
Sure, some of the open field areas.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
Open
large and
fields
flat.
and stuff. Like I went into one and I was like, there's these wetlands or something up the side of this map towards the desert, but not actually in the desert because there's a huge wall of rock, to actually get into the Gerudo area, which I haven't been in yet. But it was like, well, it's got those baobab trees or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, well, there's not much here, but I did find a Lionel, and it was a red one, so I thought, well, maybe I could take this guy. Still got my ass kicked by that guy. I was like, God damn it, until I ended up jipping it, which was because I realised I could stand in a tree and shoot arrows in its face repeatedly.
The traditional plan.
So that way I got a Lionel bow, which I suppose I can use to attack the next one, because that's what you said to do, Zeg, is like just use their weapons against them.
Well, not necessarily the bow, like whatever weapon they're wielding, because the bow is like.
Well, it was a big club
You don't really
thing.
get as much chance to wield the bows against when you're fighting the Lionels directly.
No, I'm really bad.
Mainly because if you try and stay at range, they'll also try and shoot you.
Yeah, and the red one, I don't know, he had like Electron. I guess do they all have electro arrows? Because
all the ones I've seen,
yeah, and they make you drop your stuff if you haven't got resistance, which is really
sucks.
annoying. And you're already ragdolling, but you've also dropped all your weapons that you were trying to use against them. And by the time you've picked them up, they're
already shooting you again.
Yeah, they're shooting you again
That's
or smashing you. Yeah, so yeah, those guys are bastards, and I haven't figured out. I was like, right, I'll get a one-handed weapon, and I'll try and do this shield parry thing, but the one-handed weapon broke in like 5 seconds, and then I didn't have any more. And I was like, oh,
it's always the trouble. You can never have enough one-handed weapons until you start getting like. At a certain point, I found way too many of the one like the highest tier sword, the royal sword, because I guess I got to the point in the game where that was the only sword that was spawning, essentially.
Oh, I need to get to that. I don't know where to find those. I had a royal bow.
I think mainly the way to. I realised this at some point is like mainly the easiest way to get the weapons, like the regular ass weapons, just like the normal iron type swords.
Yeah.
You have to fight the Hinoxes because they always have like 3 of them on their necklace or whatever. So you can always get like a great sword, a sword, and a polearm or something.
Could you just sneak up and nick them and then leave?
I think you can, yeah, theoretically. You can, but the trouble is that they always sleep on their back, so like the weapons are on top of them, and I'm not sure if you can stand on them without waking them up.
I think you might be able to climb up there with the Sheikah armor and stuff. I think I did it once. So maybe I should. Good, that's a good idea, because I've been marking the Hinoxes on the map and not fighting them.
They're definitely easier than the Lionels.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anyway, at least I managed to get one eventually. But I thought, well, I might as well attack this guy because I can't find anything else of interest around here. And and I ought to get a good weapon out of it. But then I don't want to lose all my weapons in the pursuit of getting one good weapon or whatever. So that's what I ended up doing. Stood in a tree and shot them. Even then, he could kill me with because they have they can shoot you with the bow directly, or when they get frustrated, they have shoot the bow into the air, and it somehow always lands right on you.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. I mean, it's insanely long ranged as well. I was running up a mountain to get away from him, and he kept doing it. If you keep on the move, he doesn't hit you, but basically, it's homing, effectively. It's basically a homing attack from above. Because you can move around and then slow down, and it will then hit you. I'm pretty sure quite a lot of, even the Octorok or whatever things they shoot out of their face, whatever the stones or whatever, I'm pretty sure they have an element of homing to them as well.
Yeah, I never could tell. I mean, if it's not homing, they're incredibly good at predicting.
Yeah.
If you run continuously in one direction, they're guaranteed to hit you.
Yes, exactly. You have to weave quite a bit. And those guys are bastards. Because
the trouble with the Ultra Rocks is like it's not guaranteed to kill them when you reflect. It's like it should automatically just, if you have your shield up and it hits the shield, it should just go back and hit them. That should be honing.
right.
But it's not.
No.
Like the only way I found to like sort of improve the odds of it going back and actually hit them is like you have to jump just as you hit, just as the thing hits your shield. Like you have to jump up and let it hit your shield in midair, and for some reason that seems to make it more likely that it will actually return to them.
Right.
I don't know why. It's like some angle thing.
I shall try that technique. Anyway, yeah. So it's good. I haven't been playing that much recently, but I just got back into it today. So I found a shrine in a hole in the side of a giant cliff.
Yep.
Which was fun. But by the time I got into it, it was one of those ones that says, "Oh, well, you found it, so here's the
you get free stuff."
Yeah, here's the free stuff. Yeah, so that's cool. I didn't realize there are definitely more of those as you go on, right? The ones that you get rewarded just for making your way to it.
I suppose. I mean, then like the Shrine Quest ones, I guess, are mostly towards the outer edges of the map, coincidentally.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on purpose, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh, I need to do the one where I need to take photos of all the Guardians types. Yeah. What are the small ones? I guess they're the ones.
Yeah, the ones you fight in the shrine.
Oh, those ones. Oh, God. Okay. I'm sure I can manage that.
Well, those ones are like the easy ones because you can just wait for the shrines to respawn and then you can just go in there.
Just go and take a picture. Yeah. How?
Nope.
There's Dan disconnecting again.
Number 2.
I think he was just about to ask how close do you have to get, and the answer is that there's a convenient icon in your camera that tells you if you're taking a picture that if you're taking a picture that's part of a mission, it specifically shows an exclamation mark when you're taking the picture to show that you've got the thing that you need to take a picture of in the frame.
Oh, right, yeah. So it also does that apply at all times then? If you have any quest active, like it'll just be like there's something of importance here.
Well, if it's related to the quest, yes, but you don't get that many of those.
Right. Okay.
There's only a couple that need you to take photos of things.
Does this relate to the?
Yeah, I don't know what this is about, but never mind.
Does this relate to the the fact that when you have to take a photo of everything, right?
You don't have to.
But if it's a thing.
Yeah.
Does it tell you? Does the camera tell you haven't got this yet? Like
no.
Beyond Good and Evil stuff.
Oh no, well, it does, I guess. Once you get close enough to the thing that it shows them like a box around the thing, then like if it's blue, then you've got it, and if it's orange, you haven't.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah. No, I remember you showing me that, actually.
So you have to go around and take the pictures. But of course, I thought it was a bit dumb that they, like... It's a thing that makes sense to be like a completionist thing, where it's like take 100% of the pictures of everything in the world. And it's like, it's kind of a fun side objective to be going around taking pictures of stuff.
Sure.
But, like, there's missable things, and it's just like that doesn't. And then they built in a system where you can just buy the pictures. You just spend rupees to fill in the gaps.
Right.
But it's just like, why would you do that? Don't make the things missable.
These like one-time bosses that you have to take a photo of or something. Or...
Well, it's basically the Lionel weaponry that they wield comes in 3 tiers. And because as you progress through the game, the Lionels on the world map level up.
Oh, wow, right.
You don't get the lower tiered weaponry after a certain point.
Yeah, okay.
That sucks.
Which was dumb. And kind of like ruins the feeling of getting 100% completion when you just go back and buy the last pictures. Because you realise that's what's happened.
There's no good way to solve that unless it just accepted.
Well, there is.
Unless it just accepted like the weapon of any tier.
Well, there is, because in the world, there are specific Lionels that never rank up, but they only wield one of the 3 types of weapons that they can have.
Oh, right.
And it's always that one.
So they could have made.
They could have just made like 3 of them,
or
something.
Okay.
Or make that one that never levels up randomly change its weapon every time you fight it, or something. They could have solved that a better way. But yeah, I like when I went back and purchased the last pictures I was missing. I knew what the Lionel weapons were, and I was like, yeah, I've missed those because of this dumb system. But then there was like 3 or 4 other pictures where I was like, I just don't know what's going to be in this slot. And then as soon as I bought them and it showed up in the list, I was like, oh, I'm just dumb.
Right.
I should have taken a picture of that because that was really obvious.
So can you only buy the things that are missable?
No, you can buy all of them.
No.
If you don't want to take pictures, you can just spend a shit ton of money.
Oh, that's less good.
Well, it's to unlock them so that you can use the scanner, so you can go and find them.
Right.
If you don't want to have to find them and then
Found
take
them
a picture
first.
and then scan them.
I guess it's giving you options.
And you also don't get to specifically pick which picture, I don't think. You pick which category of picture, but not necessarily which exact picture.
Well, it'll give you one you haven't got.
Yeah.
So
I did originally think it might just give you a random one, and then it'd be a lottery system to get the last ones you were missing. But luckily, that's not the case.
Right. Yeah. It does always pick a useful item. Useful, quote unquote.
Yeah. So that's that.
Zelda.
Yep,
Anything
that's
else to say
Zelda.
about that, Dan?
I look forward to playing it, but a bit of me is at this point, like, for the sake of the podcast, sort of thinking we should probably play other games, right? There's been quite a lot of games at the start of this year, and we haven't played any.
No
of
one
them.
else is playing other games.
For the sake of the podcast, you need to finish Zelda before the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
I do kind of, Nier is high up my list of things to play this year. As a platinum game.
Yeah,
It seems a bit
yeah.
up my street.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Seems like a good choice.
not so sure about the others that have been out, like Neo and Prey and even Persona. I don't think is really for me.
Well, if it hasn't been up for you up to this point, it's
No.
probably not going to continue to be for you.
No.
I'm sort of intrigued by it, but the time commitment is fairly epic.
Yeah.
And then there's Witcher 3. Not really for this year. But
There's always Witcher 3.
there's always Witcher 3 hanging about.
You're not going to get into loads of Dark Souls? 1, 2, 3.
Again, I
Bloodborne.
really don't see them being for me. I think if I was going to play one, I'd probably play Bloodborne. But that again, not this year. Not that relevant, I guess. Yeah. And Horizon. I really want to play Horizon.
Yeah, that would be up your street, I think.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
So there's at least there's 3 big games basically that I definitely have to play this year. Because they seem like they will be big candidates at our discussions.
It's going to be a good year.
And then Marvel versus Capcom Infinite.
Vital.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I'm the more I see of it, the less hype I get. I'm not so sure. Something about its visual style just seems like a real step back as well. That it's not as cartoony as it once was. They've replicated a lot of the effects, but done it in a sort of more real-ish look to it. A bit like, I guess how Street Fighter 5 is to Street Fighter 4, right?
Yeah.
They've done that to this, and I'm not sure I appreciate it. I think I would have liked them to stay with their very high contrast style.
Yeah. I mean, well, it came from ridiculous pixel art again.
Yeah.
And they got away with it in the first 3D conversion when they made it ridiculous in 3D, but now it's like, oh, now we're just making it look modern.
A bit of me is like, it did start thinking, actually, along those lines. It's like, what if Capcom did just make a sprite game?
But that's long been the question about fighting games, where it's like, what if we went back to sprites? What if we went back to really high quality sprites?
Well, Skullgirls happens.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And that was a quality game. Well, and Atlas have been doing it for years.
I guess.
Not Atlas. Arc System Works.
Yeah. And there's been a couple of other variations of the idea. Like, what was that game a couple of years ago that did it where
Guilty
it looked
Gear.
2D? Yeah.
Or I actually really want to play that game still, because that's just to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see it, and feel it, because boy, that's impressive. the hybrid model. That must be so difficult to do and get right and get it that look and feel and in 3D. Oh boy, yeah. Sorry, rambling. We should end this cast and get peace.
Apparently.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. Stay tuned for more Factorio videos and only Factorio videos on our channel.
One more week anyway.
I'm sure there'll be some other content as well. And we'll be
Sonic Heroes 13 to go up next.
Yeah.
The other long-running series.
The other long-running video series.
See, that's got 13 parts. Oh, it's actually got 14, but yeah.
And we'll be back for another podcast in a couple of weeks. So we'll catch you then. Bye.
Hang on. Hang on, Rob has to wrestle himself off this incredibly comfy new couch.
Oh no, it's too comfy.
Right? More comfy the longer I sat on it. I realise the benefits.
It's good to know my money is well invested.
In butts.
See ya.